come my lady, come my lady, you're my butterfly, sugar, baby. Come my lady, come my lady, you're my butterfly, sugar, baby. Such a sexy, pretty little thing. This April bitch, you got me sprung with your tongue ring. And I ain't gonna lie, cause your loving gets me high. So to keep you by my side, there's nothing that I won't try. Butterflies in her eyes and her looks to kill. Time is passing, I'm asking, could this be real? Cause I can't sleep, I can't hold still. The only thing I really know is she got sex appeal. I can feel, too much is never enough. You always there to lift me up when these times get rough. I was lost, now I'm found, ever since you've been around. You're the woman that I want, so yo, I'm putting it down. Come my lady, come my lady, you're my butterfly, sugar, baby. Come my lady, you're my pretty baby, I'll make your legs shake, you make me go crazy. Come my lady, come my lady, you're my butterfly, sugar, baby. Come my lady, you're my pretty baby, I'll make your legs shake, you make me go crazy. I don't deserve you, in essence, some kind of hidden message to show me life is precious, and I guess it's true. But to tell the truth, I really never knew till I met you. See, I was lost and confused, twisted and used. I knew a better life existed, but thought that I missed my lifestyle wild. I was living like a wild child, trapped on a short leash, parole to police files. So yo, what's happening now? I see the sun breaking down into dark clouds, and a vision of you standing out in the crowd. So come my lady, come my lady, you're my butterfly, sugar, baby. Come my lady, you're my pretty baby, I'll make your legs shake, you make me go crazy. Come my lady, come my lady, you're my butterfly, sugar, baby. Come my lady, you're my pretty baby, I'll make your legs shake, you make me go crazy. Hey sugar mama, come and dance with me. The smartest thing you ever did was take a chance with me. Whatever tickles your fancy, girls, me and you like Sid and Nancy. So sexy, almost evil, talking about butterflies in my head. I used to think that happy endings were only in the books I read, but you made me feel alive when I was almost dead. You filled that empty space with the love I used to chase, and as far as I can see, it don't get better than this. So butterfly, here is a song, and it's sealed with a kiss and a thank you, miss. Come and dance with me. Come and dance with me. Come and dance with me. Come and dance with me, Come my lady, come my lady, you're my butterfly, sugar, baby. Come my lady, you're my pretty baby, I'll make your legs shake, you make me go crazy. Come my lady, come my lady, you're my butterfly, sugar, baby. Come my lady, you're my pretty baby, I'll make your legs shake, you make me go crazy. Come my lady, come my lady, you're my butterfly.
Watch how we turn on because it watch how we pop it off. Brother test come and lock it, watch how they pop it off. Fire mash up police soldier, they try to lock it off. Holy power water to out it, but yet not enough. Through the valley of the haters, perpetrators, keep the enemy there close. Ain't no time to be calm, laws are broken. This the enemy came clutches now, time to prove it. Steady aim, you got to stick to program. Keep the pressure, stay up, ready, top left, that smoking. Don't figure that me not clutch it, come and go pop it off. Don't figure that me not clutch it, come and go pop it off. Don't figure that me not clutch it, come and go pop it off. Man go pop it off. Man go pop it off. Watch how we turn on because it watch how we pop it off. Brother test come and lock it, watch how they pop it off. Fire mash up police soldier, they try to lock it off. Holy power water to out it, but yet not enough.
beautiful hand in hand. Take it all out on your stride. It is taking falling down. Love forever, love is free. Let's love forever, you and me. Windmill for the landing. Everybody
Say it one more time. Say it one more time.
except you're conscious, so we don't know what it is.
From this distant vantage point, the Earth might not seem of any particular interest. But for us, it's different. Consider again that dot. That's home. That's us. That's here.
I declare this to be an unlawful assembly.
Okay. And then we got who's this other guy? We got Anarchy from Lowell's Anarchy. Raymond, my boy. We got Tyler's in. Cool. We're missing Aaron now. Aaron bailed on us. He was here. Are we up on the page already, Tyler? Fuck. Enough of that shit. I don't know what's wrong with my throat. I jogged up to the store, dude. My throat is just jacked up now. It's on the the ABB page, right? All right, cool. I'm gonna check it out. So what's up, Rose?
Can I do a?
We are live. Hello, guys. Welcome to the Anonymous Show. Got a couple special guests with us today. I am Arthur Wolf.
I'm Rosie.
I'm Jay.
I'm Ray.
Mark, I'm just me.
Just me.
Just me.
We got a special show today. I believe we're going to do a little shout out for the Anonymous we lost recently. Anybody got anything
Amy,
they'd like to say about her?
Is that Amy?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. No.
Yeah, she passed away really tragically.
Wait, let's get a name. I'm sorry. I'm drawing a blank on the name. It's my bad.
Amy Wicks. She was an activist, right. And she was a big proponent of prisoners' rights. And she was. I met her a few years ago, doing some work against CCA, the Corrections Corporation of America. And she was quite beneficial in pointing us in the direction of some valuable information. And just some stuff that really helped us along. She was willing to help. I didn't know her. I actually met her through Jeremy Dieter at the time, who was the one that broke the news of her passing. But she was more than willing to help without any hesitation. I didn't know her all that well, other than working with her that short period of time for a couple of weeks. But she was definitely a really good person from what I understand, and and from what I knew of her. So, big shout out, rest in peace.
Of course, rest in peace. I didn't know her much myself either, but I've heard good things. Like you said, she was an activist. She was out doing her part, just like the rest of us, and unfortunately came to a tragic end on her part. And she was shot, right? Is that what happened?
I believe so, and I believe that they had taken in her ex-boyfriend into custody at one. I don't know what the final outcome is. I don't want to speculate on anything either. I don't have any solid facts, but regardless, it's tragic. But yeah, it was definitely caused by a gun, and apparently she was very anti-firearms. So
Right.
There's some suspicion around it, but I won't get into detail because I don't have any solid information to go on beyond the fact that I know she has passed away, and it was due to a bullet was the reason. So where it came from, I don't know at this point.
All right, so
Yeah, there was.
Okay, go ahead.
I was gonna say there was one or two threads of the speculation of her passing, and I know that Jeremy was going to update everybody once he gets a little more information.
Okay.
Yeah. And Jeremy's a really good guy, very knowledgeable individual as well. He's done a lot. He kind of an independent journalist kind of type of guy. So he probably wouldn't pass any information unless it was relevant. So if you hear any updates, for sure, they're definitely worth at least investigating.
Anybody have a hashtag name they can share in the chat so we can get it out on Twitter?
Who's the what now? What do you want?
To share the name or a hashtag of the one.
Oh, of the show?
No.
Oh, never mind. I get what you're saying. I'm off in La La Land.
Yeah.
Her name was Amy Wicks. Amy, A-M-Y, Wicks, W-I-C-K-E-S, I believe.
Yes,
any
that's
of
how
our
you spell
viewers,
it.
feel free to put her URL link to her Facebook page on the comments.
I'll go post her Facebook information and the information for her visual on the page right now.
Okay.
Thank you, Rose.
Thank you, Rose.
When I first heard about it, I actually, the first thing that, because of the way that she, because of the type of activism that she had been involved in, I had some strange thoughts go to my head, conspiracy theories, I guess you could call them. But I was happy to be proven wrong. Not that it's any, consolation to her loss of life, but because of what she was involved in, I actually worried that maybe she had, succumbed to something deeper than what it was. But I don't think that's the case whatsoever. So.
I can't tell if it's just me, my shit is foggy, or if it's tripping me out. Sorry, guys.
Yeah,
I'm having
you're
technical difficulties.
Oh, it doesn't worry. For tonight's viewers, I put on a special pick for tonight, so kind of threw this on at the last minute, in case you guys are wondering why we're not doing the normal format.
I was noticing there's some new things popping up and such. You mentioned something about the show being on a new link, or I don't know. You said something different this time.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So tonight we also have a special guest. You want to introduce yourself?
Well, am I the special guest?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yeah. My name is Ray Johansson. I'm a pirate activist. I work with a lot of people, but sometimes I work with Lori Love, or the campaign to help Lori Love not get extradited to the U.S. I'm also, did I say that? A pirate?
I heard pirate.
Yeah.
Yes, I heard pirate.
I heard
pirate. Matey.
I would hope we're all pirates around here in some way, shape, or form.
Internet pirates.
The pirate party is pretty interesting. It was nice to see the showing that they had in Iceland. What did you think about that, Raymond? About their showing in Iceland there? They made a lot of waves.
It was like a new record. They got voted on lots of people, like 10.5% or something. I'm at the board of Pirate Parties International, We have members from 78 different countries. And the years before that, it was like 0.8% to 1.2% votes. And when they had this great showing in Iceland, well, we all felt good. And we're really positive for the future, right? You know
Yes,
what
definitely. I'm in Canada myself, and I believe that there is a Pirate Party of Canada as well.
Oh yes, oh yes. Our
you guys are all over, right?
Yeah, like I said, 78 countries. In Canada, we have co-chair of Pirate Parties is Bailey Lamont.
Okay.
So, well, Canada is a strong point.
Excellent. Good to hear. We have, pretty good values here, although our political system at the moment is flawed, just like everywhere else.
Really?
We don't have a two-party system per se, but in essence, we kind of do. But, those types of things I would like to see gain more momentum here. I think people in Canada are pretty open to that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I think with America being kind of our big brother, it holds us back in that kind of regard. But, they definitely have my support.
Well, this is the thing. From pirate parties all over the world, because Canada has a really, really great, outlook. Is that English, right?
Yep.
Outlook.
Yes.
Universal basic income. When all the robots take over our jobs, we really need to have some kind of income. And Sweden and Canada is actually the best on defining what universal basic income is and what we need to make that happen.
Well, we were definitely looked upon as a quasi-socialist state for a long time. We spent 10 years under a very right-wing, very conservative government that has actually done a lot of damage, like in Canada, not just to rights, but to businesses as well. The privatization of a lot of crown corporations and allowing a lot of Canadian companies to be sold to actually the Chinese government and stuff, but more a border on socialism in a lot of ways. I really feel that social programs are the backbone to society, and being able to. People always talk about unity and stuff, but then when it comes time to help each other out, everybody complains about paying taxes to help out people that are in a different situation, we'll call it, and they complain about socialism, but yet they want unity. Socialism. When people think of socialism, a lot of times they think of the Soviet Union or China, but there are lots of socialist countries. Raymond, are you Norwegian?
Yeah, I was hoping to jump in here. Is that okay?
Yes,
yeah, go ahead.
That's perfectly fine.
I grew up in a country which is called social democratic. It's not really communist in any way. It's social democratic, like Bernie Sanders, for fuck's sake.
For fuck's sake. Fucking Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, and
Anyways.
We grow up, if you don't mind, we grow up with the thinking that, okay, we pay taxes, like 28 to 35% of taxes. We get free schools for our children. We get free health care. And we pay, taxes to make sure that everybody, not just yourself, get health care, and that's completely and utterly natural to us. Completely and utterly natural. And when we hear the discussions of Obamacare and shit in the Americas, we just don't get it. What the fuck?
Neither do we.
Well,
Neither
trust
do we.
us. There's a lot of Americans that don't trust and like Obamacare, as well.
I think maybe the essence of Obamacare had roots in something worthwhile. I think it was more the way it was rolled out. A lot of considerations, from what I understand, myself not being American, but talking to a lot of Americans, the way that was rolled out, a lot of things were considered, like the fact that insurance companies were then going to put the onus on people that actually do buy and can or considered able to afford insurance, and penalizing people that can't afford insurance now that we're just regular everyday blue collar people. Am I right, guys?
Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
I know my brother being a white collar, his insurance with Obama just skyrocketed. I mean, even to the point to where it was very hard for him to make ends meet, for him and his own family.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a couple really, really, really good friends in the States. Actually, my wife's American, and I've heard that from a lot of people. One of them is a business owner. He owns a small business, and I know that it's had a crippling, maybe not crippling, but it's had definitely an adverse effect on him. But I think the whole theory, like Raymond was saying, same as in Canada, like we have universal health care. Our education, compared to a lot of places, is fairly well subsidized. Although, like I said, the 10 years of conservative rule kind of, put a dent in some of that as well. But, if you look at a country like Switzerland, where they have no natural resources, but they say that their biggest natural resource is people, and they invest into people. And it's not, people don't mind paying high taxes if you get a return from them. But the problem in a place like Canada or America or Great Britain is that those taxes are never appropriated properly. They're always,
exactly,
misspent.
Oh, whoa. Do you mind if I, jump in?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Whenever you have fucking politicians spending money, everything will get misappropriated to an extent. But the countries you made as an example, Switzerland, Norway, whatever. The point is, we don't pay a really, really big part of our paycheck in taxes. We pay, like I said, 28 to 35%. Get what we have. In the U.S., you pay less, real taxes, but you actually pay more because you have to buy on top of your taxes. What do you call it? Healthcare.
Yes.
And that's fucking lots of money, and so you have to add the two numbers, right?
Yeah. Ultimately,
Right.
you're paying less. You're paying less.
Yes, I am. That's my whole point. I'm paying less. And still, the people that live next to me, even the people that try to live on the street, gets picked up and helped. And I feel good about it.
I would feel good about it too.
So am I a communist?
No.
You're a socialist. I think there's a bit of a difference. I think that people associate communism and socialism very closely because they think of socialism, like I said earlier, as like Stalin, Russia, Marxism kind of thing, where that was definitely a corrupt version of what was supposed to, what was portrayed to people. But like I said, I consider myself a socialist. And I actually live in a very right-wing part of the country.
Okay. Anyway, should we move on from this topic to something else? Question mark?
Question mark? Yeah, whatever's clever, bro.
What else do we have on the agenda?
Man.
I don't know. You tell me.
It's whatever comes to the top of your head.
I'm just a guest. This is my first time on the show, so I'm just kind of going with the flow here.
Yeah.
Has anybody gotten anything new about that Vault 7 at all? I've been reading a little bit about it, but I'd like to hear what people have to say, kind of work off of that, That's kind of the big one all over social media, all over the news, all over everything is Vault 7. So that's kind of all I've heard about. We can do something different.
Okay, I would love to hear what North Americans think about Vault 7. And then I can jump in because I know quite a lot about it.
Do you?
I honestly, it's it doesn't disturb me, and I've known for years that they've been monitoring and stuff like that. But the fact that this stuff is built into our devices that's what that's all about, right?
Right. Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
anything that has a built-in camera or microphone or any sort of device since, what is it? I think they said 2011 or was it 2013 when they started doing this? Probably much longer, obviously, but like it got to be a big thing. I think
it was actually 2007, and he's absolutely correct. It is built into everything. Even when
everything.
So
exactly.
it's embedded. It's actually embedded into the firmware,
Yes.
into the chips.
Even in your smart TVs, your smart TVs have that tech in them as well.
Well, I hope they're
there's-
EEPROM so we can change it.
even with your cell phone, if you turn off your location, it basically means nothing turning that off. They can still ping your cell phone and track you to almost your precise location.
And if I'm not mistaken, Snowden was talking about this earlier this year. Am I right?
Well,
yes,
Yeah, he was.
that's what I was going to say is that, I mean, this shouldn't come as like, I actually haven't read that much into the Vault 7, and frankly, the reason I haven't is because it's all stuff that, from what I've heard from other people talking about, so I guess I'm kind of speculating, but most of them are pretty knowledgeable people. But these are things that I've always just kind of had. I mean, I've had tape over the camera on my laptop since like 2009. And stuff like that.
Do you think any of this technology is related to that data center that the NSA has over in Utah? The one that with the mega computers.
Massive.
Yeah, it's
massive.
It's
so
massive.
I would think that it definitely correlates 100% to that. I mean, to think that these agencies don't correspond with one another would be naive to think that they don't share information.
Right.
Because they definitely do. And I mean, it was proven in the Snowden leaks just how far they would go. So to be surprised by it, I mean, I see a lot of people freaking out, but I mean, I'm not surprised by any of it. That's kind of my standpoint, and that's kind of why I haven't looked that deeply into it, because the things that I've theorized, I don't think I'm going to find anything different in there than things that I've already suspected or kind of assumed.
So you're saying that our own government has gone to the manufacturers and to put this stuff in even before we buy it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I believe
definitely.
that.
Look at the way corporations and lobby groups and the way they're connected to governments all together. Like it's there's no, I mean, corporations write laws now. So yeah, definitely. I definitely think so.
Barrett Brown touched on this in 2011. If you Google Barrett Brown Metal Gear, in part, this is what he's speaking about and some of the technologies and methodologies used in surveillance of citizens.
How cool is that? Does anybody mind if I speak now?
Oh, go ahead.
Go right ahead.
If you remember, 7 minutes back, I asked you, what does the North Americans think about the WikiLeaks CIA blast, right?
Yeah.
And you all talked amongst yourself, and you figured out that, oh my God, they're everywhere. But what do you guys think about how this affects your IT industry, Silicon Valley, the US and Canada's ability to make money? Do you think the rest of the world, which is 95% of the world, how do you think we will think about you? Do you think we will keep buying your fucking software, or will we stop?
Yeah. No, I think that I would hope that they would stop. I would hope so, because I think the only way, to put a dent in it is to actually have a financial effect on these industries, because if they are not receiving any type of penalty, then what's persuading them from doing so, and cohorting with government's illegal spying on citizens on a global level? Because I mean, it's funny. The internet has definitely changed things. But if countries were to spy, if a spy was to get caught in the 1960s doing the type of espionage that these tech companies are doing now, they would have been tried for treason and killed.
Absolutely.
So, you know, I would.
Can I do the next question?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So this thing happened. Somebody leaked the fucking CIA documents and the software, the malware, all over the dark web, right? That's how WikiLeaks got it. Then we're just waiting for, you know, every cyber criminal in the world to buy pieces of these, you know, attack things and softwares and everything, you know, to put it in, I don't know, a way everybody could understand. What's going to happen next? Do you think Russia is going to buy the software and attack the US back? What's going to happen?
Well, I mean, do I think that Russia has some interest in what America does? For sure, I definitely
Absolutely.
do. I also think, though, that Russia is you know, demonized and probably has a lot more homegrown concerns than they are more concerned with, more so than the paranoia that the American government fosters amongst people.
I totally
Yeah, I'm
agree.
sure they don't just sit there and sit back and be like, yeah, we're just going to destroy the world. Mwahaha. They're not Dr. Evil, you know?
Our country demonizes anybody that doesn't have their same views. That's
Exactly.
why I hate America.
Putin is not worried about America at all.
You know,
nor is he a bad
most
guy.
countries aren't worried
Nor
about
is he a bad guy, exactly.
Look at China. China's not worried about us. Most third world countries don't even worry about us. They see what
we worry
most
ourselves.
of us see. They see what most of us see, that we're destroying ourselves. They don't have to destroy it.
Oh, but God forbid you have oil in your country, then you send troops over there.
Absolutely.
You know?
It's all that fear mongering. They just want to come and take over. That's all they're really doing. They want the citizens to be afraid so that we will allow them to go to war.
But you know, it's not just America either, though. I mean, these threats are definitely on a global level. It's just that America is the perpetrator at this point in time. They're the ones going out and enacting on it. But you know, these threats could definitely on people's privacy. They could become real threats from anywhere. Should a country to choose, and I think maybe that's kind of what, I don't know for sure if that's what Raymond was getting at, but you know, that technology, if it gets out, what's to stop other governments from doing it, especially if they can buy that technology at a bargain basement price too?
You mean like North Korea? That would be kind of dangerous. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, who's not to say that they're already doing it as well?
They probably are.
Yep.
Yeah. That's so cool that you said that.
Yeah, because I mean, you know, the technology is out there.
Well, look at Egypt and Tunisia and places like that during the Arab Spring, and you know you know, the way that they were being monitored over there during like their uprising over there and stuff. You know, so they may have been fairly you know, under the radar techniques compared to what the CIA has done, but you know, that's because maybe they didn't need that much technology to implement their spying on people then. But it's not to say that there aren't governments in the world that definitely have an interest in it.
Well, can I do my next question?
Yes.
It's like this. After seeing the WikiLeaks CIA leaks, do you fear Russia or Putin more than you fear the CIA, the US?
I fear our own government more than anybody else.
Wait. If you were living in a different country than the US?
Well, Putin hasn't overthrown democratically elected governments throughout South America. He hasn't invaded Middle Eastern countries over oil and only oil and opium, and then forced you know, agriculture through Monsanto onto nations like Afghanistan. So I definitely, I mean, I fear the CIA more than I fear Russia.
What about you other
Definitely.
guys?
Sorry?
What about you other guys?
What is
I,
our view on
yeah,
Russia or
I would have to say that I honestly, sorry, I'm quiet. I'm just listening. I would say that I fear the CIA more than Putin. And
big time?
again, Jay touched a lot of the same things that I would have said. Basically, the CIA, there's no boundaries. They're not holding themselves back.
No, they don't
They're
care.
going above and beyond, and they have for years
But they're not the only
against their
country
own
they're not the
citizens.
only country that's doing that. Israel has
Mossad.
the Mossad or the
Mossad.
Mossad
Mhm.
that's just if not worse than our own CIA.
But it's hard to deny the connection between Israel and America.
How is it not?
It's very
Are you
very
serious?
simple to see the connection because look at everything that's owned over here in America. Everything is owned by the Israels. I mean, you got media. Who's running the media over here in America?
Yeah,
The Jewish
dude.
people.
Let's take that away because Israel and the U.S. is the same thing.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
yeah. So let's see. Do you think the country that is called the U.S. is more dangerous than Russia? Full well knowing, since 1961, the U.S. have tried to destabilize 83 democratic elected governments all over the world.
Most of them socialist on top of it.
Yeah, of course.
I consider the United States extremely dangerous to other countries, and it's
Rose, where are
sad
you
when you're a
from?
U.S. citizen. Oh,
Rose,
sorry.
Rose, where are you from?
I'm actually from the West. I'm from the West Coast, United States.
Okay,
West
cool.
Coast?
Thank you.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I think the people that I've met on the West Coast are a lot more laid back than maybe say the Bible Belt of the United States. I've definitely had better interactions with
no.
Yeah, because
coastal
I'm one in
people.
the Bible. I live in a Bible state.
I live in a very Republican, patriotic community. Being an activist, we're completely outnumbered here. But again, that's what you expect for Arizona. It's a state where there's open carry. For example, today we had cops block down our whole street, pointing high-powered machine guns at people's front doors and shutting down a whole street, knocking on people's doors, trying to get them to leave. I mean, that's the kind of state Arizona is. And that's because the way the gun laws are set up now. I agree with people have a right to bear arms, but it's like the Wild West here.
We are cowboys, darling. Just sorry, was that the wrong thing to say there? But it's the West Coast. We're a bunch of Bible thumping, gun toting, shoot 'em, kill 'em, eat 'em kind of people.
I live
not all of us,
a
obviously.
little north of where you're living, or near the Bible Belt, and I can tell you one thing: shit is dangerous up here, man.
Yeah.
I live in the murder capital, man.
But what's that? From outside, I know that Chicago is the murder capital. Last year, 770,
Yep.
712.
We had 2,700 shootings last year.
Exactly.
Arizona had close to 560 police shootings where they were shooting unarmed people last year. That was one of our biggest tackles as activists in the community, was the significant amount of unarmed people. People with mental disabilities, cops are using an excessive amount of lethal force.
Wow, and I thought things were bad here because we had 15.
No,
15?
it's bad. It's bad. Like
Anybody
today, we
wanna-
literally had sniper rifles.
Anybody want to hear how many we had in Norway?
Sure.
Sure.
Wait. Oh, it was 7.
See, that's amazing.
And one died. There was one that died. Oh, fuck. Social democracy, eh?
You guys have some pretty good music up there too.
Oh,
a lot of good metal comes out of there.
Yeah, the hard, the black.
Yeah.
Tell us about it, eh?
They got, they had that, was that one guy, that was a famous murder. What was his name? The crazy kid that burned down the churches. What was his name?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know
it
about.
was all over the newspapers in Norway. Yeah, he's out. He's I don't know. From last I heard from, he's not in the music industry anymore. He's just, playing and, living in his home. But
Wasn't Doom from Norway?
no, it was, what was the band's name? God.
Well, forget about it.
Yeah.
Nobody in Norway except the guys in jail and shit.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The problem is that America in general, that we militarize our police force, and that should not be allowed. I'm a firm believer that our police are here to protect, not to harm us, and it's the total opposite. They are quick to harm the American citizens and put us in fear rather than supporting us and trying to help us. Period.
Typical Gestapo tactics.
Yeah.
Going back to Raymond's question, what do we think of the United States? Quite honestly, I believe the United States is not a threat to this country or that country, but the entire world, the entire civilized world.
Well, it's also a threat to its own citizens, where left and right people are going to jail for nothing at all.
Well, there's a whole other thing right there, the private prison industry.
Oh yeah, 50% of the prison industry is for profit.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that was the
but
doing.
but we are the land of the free, correct?
We have more people. We have more people in incarceration than any other country in the world.
What's your prison population?
Wow.
Well, do you mind if I answer?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. Yes, please.
It is 7 times more than any other country in the world. And why? And let me answer that too. Because you fucking put people in prison for weed.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I heard in Norway, you guys are big on, and I've talked about this before. Your jails are starting to, they don't know what to do with the facilities that they have because the prison population is dying. And when people go to prison in Norway, they get heavy psychotherapy, and they actually teach them skills so that when they get out of jail or prison, that they learn that they are able to reintegrate into society. And they're also medicated, and they have psychiatrists and doctors. So it's almost as though you're getting rehabilitated while you're incarcerated. Am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely right. In Norway, prison is not punishment. Prison is rehabilitation. Because if I may ask you, gentlemen and gentlewoman, does it feel really good to punish people and then make sure that they get fucked in the ass so when they come out, they keep robbing people on the street? The answer is, of course, no. So
Right.
rehabilitation is what it's about. Oh my God, I'm having trouble with my English here. So it's all about rehabilitation, because if you think about society, if prison is for society, you teach people a skill and then you let them come out, rehabilitated, give them a place to live, and maybe they get a skill, and then they start working, and then they stop fucking doing heroin or whatever. I mean, it makes sense, but of course it's social democratic, so it's Russia, so fuck it.
Oh, did somebody just hurt themselves?
Oh no, I was shut in my garage. I apologize.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, as far as rehabilitation here in America,
It doesn't. It exists, but it really doesn't. They say they have
no, it
programs,
really doesn't.
but you have to meet the X, Y, and Z. There was a major. Holy shit! Yeah, there was a major company out here that got the contract for the rehabilitation of drug addicts in the prison system called West Care. They got a grade D. Um, Honestly, I can tell you one thing, from being in incarceration, that you don't learn shit. You might as I can tell you that they're not really the services are there, but they are so fucking packed and nobody gives a shit that you don't get the help. It's like if you're fucking sick, you could be sick in a cell for like 2 weeks before you get the help, or longer.
Somebody was telling me too that they don't even offer education in a lot of the prisons anymore.
Oh, they do, but to get into the classes because of how many people are actually in there is really fucking hard. And then you got to meet X, Y, and Z. So if your charge is this, you're not eligible. If you're too dangerous, or you got this charge, you can't do this program.
Right.
Or you got to be in a special population.
Let's also
so if you're a convicted felon, say if you're a convicted felon, or if you have an assault charge, which is basically even a misdemeanor here in America, you will not be eligible to go into the program.
You will not be eligible for in certain states to the drug and alcohol programs if you have a violent offense.
Right.
Yeah.
And you work to pay in prison. You work for commissary. Everything you get, you still have to work for. I mean, so they're double dipping. They're getting money from the state to fund these prisons, but the inmates are also doing work. Perfect example, and Rose will tell you this, here in Maricopa, when Arpaio was in charge of places like the tent city, the inmates worked.
That guy should have been shot in the head.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And look where he's at now.
Anyway, I really do want to contribute to the conversation because I run one of the campaigns called Prison Strike. But right now I'm getting tweets from everybody saying that the screen went wrong. So I have to give them a new screen.
Uh-oh. Right, let me test our feed.
Do that.
Yeah, screen is working here. I'm on 2 different devices, so it's working.
My wife said that she lost the stream as well.
Really? Am I being censored?
No. It's fucking cool. I shared the new stream, so we can just keep on talking. We're talking about private prisons or slavery in prisons or what?
Pretty much.
Well, I think it's all the same, really. Modern day slavery. But as far as the prison population here, they were talking about how they wanted to stop with us making or manufacturing clothing or and making what's the word I'm looking?
I know what you're getting at.
Right.
Did you know that already during the first refugee ban of Trump, people got put to work or pressured to work already then? And 3 days after the refugee ban of Trump,
I need a charger for this.
yes, they got pressured to work.
Well, no, I need
slavery work for no fucking money at all.
So while they were in the immigration hold,
they
were making those people work.
Yes, detention centers. That's the right word, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So the ICE detention centers, they were already put to work during the first one. And now, 3 days after the second one, they're already being pressured to work. I'm getting messages from people from all over the U.S. telling me that they're, being put to work for no money at all.
That's utter bullshit. Yeah.
That's bullshit.
Was it? I think I heard something about ICE teams like roaming the streets
Yep.
after the first implementation,
Yep.
like rounding people up by mass?
In
Like,
droves.
how did they even know where these people were?
Well, ICE team, for years has they know where all the places are where to round up the people. They just haven't been enforcing them. And of course, you give them a new executive order, and then they start rounding them all up.
Too big, and I need to get into my.
This calls into question, the morals of agents, government agents, police officers. Where these people that are employed to enforce laws need to start showing some courage and speaking up. I understand a lot of them might have families to feed and stuff, but
Are you talking about the ICE immigration raid?
Yes, they've been going on.
Yeah, they've been going on here in Arizona and on the West Coast too. I admin the West Coast. I see a lot of it, mostly in rural, poverty-stricken communities. What it is they know the areas to hit and target.
Yes,
they have people that are. Yeah, they already have checkpoints that they set up regularly. And again, in strategic places during high traffic days, Friday, Saturday, holiday weekends. What they're doing right now is they have a list of people that either were supposed to report or needing to report to immigration, and they're doing what's like an immigration roundup. Now, we were told in the beginning here in Phoenix that, for example, Guadalupe, she was a major activist here in Arizona, very involved in several major groups that help with everything from helping immigrants to get jobs to the farming community. She was one of the first people targeted. So when they came in and they started doing this, they already had their people picked. So it started off with a strategic pick of their roundup. Now it's just more sporadic.
Now, Raymond, I have a question for you. When you brought this up about people being forced into labor. Now, were some of these people just people that were traveling to the United States that had already been in transit and just, because of, said executive order, they just were stopped and just held? Were they also being forced into labor, or were they just being held and deported? I'm not 100% sure.
No, I have no direct information about that. My information comes from people getting swooped up. Not people traveling or anything. And also my information comes from, my knowledge comes from being part of the campaign that's called Prison Strike that started in late July last year. And that was long before Trump, the Trump asshole.
Yeah, I was just curious myself on whether or not that, the thought crossed my mind, like maybe have these people, but yeah, I was just curious and just kind of wondering, but because that would have taken the fucked upness of it to a whole other level. You know what I mean? It's fucked up enough as it is, but to just snag people in transit, that just would have been,
that would have been seriously fucked up. As if it wasn't fucked up enough yet. Still, there's something I want to talk to you about, and it's censorship. In the Americas, we talk about censorship as something bad. Censorship is something that happens under Putin and Iran and China and shit. But what you have to realize is that Trump's immigration ban and ICE raids, #ICE raids. It happened for 4 days without any mainstream media channel reporting it. 4 days until we saw what was happening, heard from every little part of America that ICE was actually picking up people. 4 days it took. And when we started tweeting about it, anons and things like that, nobody had ever heard about it. When we started running it hard, we couldn't get heard. We couldn't hear nothing. Even your Anon News, which has 1.7 million followers, we tweeted about the ICE raids, and nobody liked it. Nobody shared it. We didn't understand why. Because it was fucking censored. So my theory is that Trump said, let's get all these fuckers off the street and send them home. But let's also make sure that no mainstream media talks about it. And let's censor the shit out of everybody on Facebook and Twitter and everything. So what do you guys think about that? You think I'm wrong or paranoid?
No, you're not. You're not paranoid. There is we've seen it for a long time. Facebook censorship and definitely social media censorship. Even to the levels of trying to even get the mainstream media to listen to anything. They won't listen to a story unless you make it look like a catastrophe. But
what do you think, Rose?
I think that as far as the media, there's a lot of censorship. I seen over the first 2 weeks of the ICE raids when Trump became president. I have a pretty good network of other street activists, very similar to myself across the United States. And when the word got out that there were going to start ICE raids, I've seen a lot of people asking, has anybody heard anything? And that was again because of the media silence. As far as local news, only because about 100 people went to the ICE building when Guadalupe was taken, the first person, and actually blocked the bus, the deportation bus, from exiting the facility, was the only reason we got any media attention. And that's because we had to actually go through the whole black bloc scenario of us completely lining up and not letting the buses through.
Yeah, you gotta cause a shit.
The media,
before they actually.
yeah, the media here does not favor us in any way, and we don't expect it to, and that's why we go back to word of mouth and our own media using social media, and that's still censored as well. I mean,
you're talking about the roots of Anonymous and anti-censorship, and using a collective group of people to share, gather, and put information out there, and why groups have become groups like Anonymous or whatever faction that may be related in some way, shape, or form have become so important. Although
we went back to basics. We went back to for example, White Rose. We started Rose Underground in an attempt to educate people more about the fascism that we're going to be facing with Trump. And I think that network has proven very, very useful because we were able to make the communication with other people that are in other activism groups to prepare us for what we're expecting. And I think it's been really helpful as far as information sharing.
That's why I asked Rose in particular, because, I see shit going on, so I asked Rose. Because going back to what we used to do in the old days is the only way to do this. Because now we're fucking fucked. I'm sorry about the words, but that's just
fun.
No, you're correct.
No censorship here. No censorship.
No censorship.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get slammed.
No, and I see a lot of
something, but that'll be on me. I don't give a shit about my account.
Yeah, there's a lot of censorship. I mean, basically, the censorship that we see is the reach on our posts. I mean, me from a marketing background, I'm more of looking at numbers. I love doing what we're doing, the activism, the radio show, but my brain only looks at numbers. And I see when we do certain shows or on certain topics, like when we were going over DAPL, I watch as a whole hundreds and hundreds of groups not getting the reach that they should. And that's the kind of censorship that I see the most. And people say, if there's a dying child in a post from Syria or Palestine, everybody just looks away. But this is the kind of situation now, whether it's people not looking or whether it's actual censorship from Facebook, we don't know.
Well, this is why I asked Rose. Myself, I run 128 groups and pages.
Nice.
So I know exactly what you're talking about, and I know exactly what happened. Do you guys mind if I tell you a story about the first day of the ICE raids?
Go ahead.
That was the fifth day of the ICE raids. It was completely silent for 4 days. Then on the fifth day, that was Friday, Friday after Trump launched refugee ban, which was not a ban, which was a ban, not a ban, right? Then I started sharing ice raids and started sharing things that, reports from all over the US, people getting picked up and shit. Then I got something from Florida, from a good friend in Florida, an anon. And I shared that. And I also shared the phone number to ACLU so they could get a translator to that woman that was separated from her husband with her child and couldn't speak English. And I shared that on Twitter. It got shared to, I don't know, a couple of million people. And after 30 shares, because everybody loved it, but after 30 shares, it was completely motherfucking quiet. Nothing happened. It stopped. Just choked. There was nothing happening.
Well, we did get some internal workings on the censorship that Facebook has from that North Korean hack when they had Facebook temporarily set up there. Remember that kid that hacked into that Kim Jong-il thing, and then they actually found out that Facebook can censor stuff by region. Did you ever hear about that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
So go ahead.
I was going to say this kind of touches on something, something that you were talking about earlier. About sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought there. Censorship kind of comes down on all levels, but like when you were talking earlier about trusting. Anyway, I forget what I was saying. Sorry.
Never mind, Taylor. So, should we change subject? Can we talk about Lori Love for a while?
Yes, I want to hear.
Yeah, it's a good transition thing because that's also about censorship. I've been working to highlight Lori Love's case since April last year. So that's 11 months or something. Just a few days ago, he was suspended. Then everybody got really, really mad. He got mad too. So he started playing with Twitter support. And when all was said and done, like yesterday, he got perma-banned. The most anti-fascist guy, the most Antifa guy in the world got perma-banned from Twitter. And you really need to think about this. Milo Yiannopoulos, or whatever the fuck the asshole is called, took 2 years. Took 2 years to fucking ban. Your Lori Love was about to be extradited to the US for hacking the fucking US after they killed Aaron Swartz, got permabanned after 2 days. So what do you think that is about, friends and girls?
Why?
Sorry.
That enrages me. It actually enrages me. It's not to say that first of all, I mean, I believe from what I've read that he's more than willing to stand trial for the charges brought against him, the alleged hacks that he committed, but he would like to stand trial in his own country, which to me seems only reasonable, that you're tried under the laws in your own country. If you break a law in your country and it's against that country's law, then you should, and you have similar statutes there, because they are somewhat similar, then he should be allowed to stand trial in his own country. As a UK citizen, there is no way that they should allow him to be extradited, deported, and taken to another country to stand trial where, the penalties are much, much harsher and the environment is much, much harsher, when they already have their own views and laws against that. That's just appalling to think that the UK government is willing to just say, fuck it. Yeah, sure. Here you go. Have them. That's bullshit.
It is, absolutely. It's really sad. We're all supposed to abide by the so-called laws of the land, but yet these laws are created by people who make up laws as they go along.
And their arms are extending beyond their own borders.
Absolutely.
That's what bothers me the most.
I think that bothers me too is the laws that they have are completely ridiculous and ludicrous. I mean, I've mentioned this before. The things that they have that are illegal still in the United States compared to you can't smoke a plant, but in 20 states you can have sex with an animal. What is the problem here? Why is this not getting through their head that this is an issue? You're putting somebody in jail for 30 years for maybe an ounce of marijuana. And this guy's hurting a dog. I mean, this is horrible. And I hate to say it like that, but it's really the stupid laws.
Well, the thing is, and Rose, you know me well enough. You know where I stand when it comes to hacking. But you know my viewpoints on that. I do. I believe that all knowledge should be open source. But that's not to say that I ever think or even think that hacking should be legalized, because there's too many people with malicious intent. When you decide to make a choice to stand up for something and search out information or whatever, that you're taking a risk. You know that you're taking a risk. I'm not saying that it should be legalized, but and this is a common thing amongst people that I communicate with. But the crime, the punishment doesn't fit the crime.
Oh, for hacking?
For
hacking, no, it doesn't. You do one DDoS account, you DDoS and you get caught. It's minimum 5 years. All the kid did was press a button.
Do you mind if I jump in?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Lori Love, his advocates, his lawyers, anybody who has ever listened to him does not say that he shouldn't face the penalty for allegedly hacking anything. All that they say, all that he says, all that I say is that he should be able to face it in his own country, where the laws would give him, 3 months to 3 years. In the US, he faces 99 fucking years in 3 different jurisdictions. You're getting this, right?
For accessing information.
Yes, exactly.
And that goes back. I heard somebody say something about pressing a button and DDoSing, although I don't consider DDoSing.
Well, it's not a real hack, but
hacking,
the law still treats it.
It's even more so, like you said. I mean, DDoSing, you're basically bringing a server down for a temporary amount of time, and very seldomly with any long-term damages, other than maybe some financial repercussions to the company that was targeted, which was probably targeted for a good reason in a lot of cases. But you look, like you said, look at the penalties that people get simply for because I consider DDoS more of a form of protest.
Yeah, it's an online protest. Germany legalized it.
They legalized it?
Yeah.
I could see them decriminalizing it maybe, but maybe not legalizing it. But I don't know. That's the first I heard of that. But
that's an American word, legalizing shit. That's not even a thing. I'm sorry, that's not even a thing. Either it's legal or it's not. So oh shit, guys.
Yeah, it's either legal to the local governments or the federal government denies it, and there's so many who have to jump through. I don't know. I just live with the philosophy I do what I want. I mean, as long as I'm not harming anybody else, then nobody should be able to say what I can and can't do as an adult.
My mother taught me at a young age that there's a difference between morally right and legally right, and as long as you're on the good side of morally right, then that's the important thing, and that people will forgive you and see you in whatever in your moral light. more so than your legal standing.
Anyway, I love Rose a lot and Tyler.
Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate you coming on. You're more than welcome to come back anytime you want to.
Thank you, love.
Thank you very much, Randy.
Sorry,
It
my
was very
son's trying to
insightful
troll us in the
conversation.
background.
Anybody mind if I just, tune into the background and say goodnight?
Yeah.
No problem.
Please, go ahead.
Okay, thank you much.
Thank you. Have a wonderful evening or day if it's day there.
It's morning, honey.
Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
All right, take care.
Bye. What an amazing man.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys, for inviting me on here. I'm glad that I was able to get on and have conversation with some enlightened individuals, including Raymond.
I always enjoy talking to you.
Yes, always. We've talked on the phone many times. I think this is the first time I've been live to any amount of people, but I'm happy to be here. I'm usually a regular on.
And thank you for coming on short notice.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you for coming on short notice.
I was in the middle of making a tutorial video for any aspiring internet security enthusiasts. But the video's in coding right now, and it's taking hours and hours. So
you got a big file.
I had some free time.
Yeah, Jay's pretty awesome. I mean, he's one of my go-to people as far as like understanding a lot of stuff that's going on. And we've had on past shows talks about the new bloods versus the old fags. There has been a lot of old fags that have open arms, and learning as we go is really important. That's why the first half of the show, I didn't really say anything, and that was because there's a point in time where you have to stop talking and listen. You know what I mean?
Can I interject something on the new blood, old fag thing? I personally do not have any problems with new blood for just being new blood. That is not an issue by any means. I think the problem that a lot of old fags have is that, one of the things we touched on tonight was censorship. And I know how a lot of people here feel about people like Sammy Warren or guys from the Hate Factory, but they're entitled to be the assholes they are. If you want to stand for anti-censorship, then they have the right to be those assholes. That doesn't mean that there aren't repercussions for being dicks, but a lot of old fags are really anti-censorship of any type. Whatsoever. And I think the big thing is the amount of slacktivists, I call them, out there with the mask profiles. I don't think that anybody I've talked to on this show tonight would fall into that category. Everyone here seems educated. And I know, I think this is that Mark that's on here as well?
Yes.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we know each other from quite a while back.
Yeah, you closed your one account, and I don't think you've added me back.
No, well, I was just kind of waiting for other people to add me back.
Me and Rose living in the same states, actually same city, we talk a lot, and your name's come up, and we have nothing but love and respect for you, Jay.
I literally was at your house like 4 hours ago, just saying.
I was asleep.
well, Mark, me and you have had lots of communication in the past, so I know what you're about. I know what you do, and I respect it.
Policy is intact.
I'll definitely have to add you up on here. I haven't added too many people to this account. I just kind of wait for people to add me, and just kind of go from there. I'm only at 100 friends right now on my current account, which I've had for quite a while. So, although I did just reactivate my old account, I had a 90-day ban. I made this epic picture of Hillary Clinton fucking Donald Trump in the ass, and I posted it everywhere, and I got myself 90 days for that. So I kind of just migrated over to this account. It was definitely well worth it. But I think the biggest problem with a lot of old fags towards the new fags is a lot of the slacktivism. It's hard to know who's real if you haven't had a lot of interactions with them or not, because the amount of people that are out for personal gain or just don't embody what the essence of Anonymous once was. I think that there's a lot of that, and I think You know what I mean?
And I think that me and Mark have talked about that too. You got the keyboard warriors or the people that hit interested on an event and don't show up. And for us, it's not just about the internet. It's also about the street. You know, it's not even about wearing the mask. It's the idea. You know what I mean? And if people aren't going to embrace the idea, the no censorship, all these other things that are involved with Anonymous, then how are you going to tell the difference? It takes years to know who's real and who's not anymore.
Well, that's just it. And one of the things, I mean, Raymond was talking about Lori Love and the amount of time that he's facing. There are a lot of people that flew under the banner Anonymous and represented themselves, represented with that, and with a lot of heart, that have made a lot of sacrifices. Some of them have gone to jail for a lot of time, and others that have just put themselves out there and taken the risk of going to jail. And, you know, when you see a whole bunch of people that weren't around when that happened, and you feel like maybe they don't understand where your roots came from, you tend to get a little bit spiteful towards that sometimes. And I think that's where a lot of the division between the old and the new comes. But I think that a lot of the old fags are willing to teach the new bloods that are willing to learn.
True.
Well, I don't know. We spoke about this, I believe, the other night on the show, and
when I was trying to explain how VPN works, I was too technical.
Exactly. Yeah. That was the night, you know.
You know, my philosophy is very simple. I embrace everyone. You know, we all get the "can you teach me to hack" chat message, and you know, and that's one thing, we just ignore it. But if somebody comes to you and wants to learn, what can I do to, you know, step up and you know, make the world better and lend my voice to the cause and the beliefs that we have. And going back to the censorship thing, I'm very anti-censorship, but I'm also, you know, there to help anybody that wants to be helped, whether they be old, new, just started 5 minutes ago and don't understand it. Doesn't matter to me. But what really bothers me is the people who come in and use the mask as a dating site and an ego thing. Facebook is no place to really do we've had discussed this in previous shows.
Absolutely, yeah. No, that's the wrong place to go to jail.
I encourage anybody, you know, if you look at my profile, I don't actually have any anonymous pictures on there. And I don't like to even, you know, discuss my involvements for reasons. But, you know, I mean, but I actually did get my start out on Facebook years and years ago. That is where I met the first group of Anons that I dealt with. Fortunately, they were good enough to enlighten me and bring me and show me other places that exist on the internet outside of Facebook, where a lot of real conversation happens and a lot of things behind the scenes happen. And, you know, I don't personally feel that Anonymous is necessarily Facebook is a good spot for Anonymous to exist as any type of hive or collective. I mean, it's one thing to be, you know, proud of what you do, but like I said, I don't even promote myself as such in a lot of ways, not because I'm not anonymous. I just prefer to be anonymous anonymously. That's just my personal view, though.
Key, right?
I mean, it's not up to me to tell other people what to do, but then there's also the whole creed thing where it says anybody can be anonymous, but people misinterpret what anybody can be anonymous means. It means through your actions, not through saying you're anonymous. Saying you're anonymous does not make you anonymous.
No.
Putting a mask on your profile. Yeah, that doesn't make you anonymous. Being anonymous is about following through actions, whether you are habitual information sharing leaks. You know, I mean, and there's a lot of people that get their start sharing out, but, you know, go search out places where there's information that you don't see repeated 10,000 times on Facebook.
You know, there's a quote that's been around for a long time, and I take things rather personally when it comes to anonymous because I love anonymous. I love what it stands for. I love the idea. And that quote is, "To be anonymous comes from the heart," and I truly believe that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, because if your heart's in it, then your actions will follow. Your actions will follow, whether your boots on the ground. Mind you, I still firmly believe that, in my view, that Anonymous is a hacker collective. You know, I mean, I encourage anybody that says they're anonymous to go out and learn as much as you can. I'm not saying become an elite hacker. I'm not saying go out and
at least can learn the basics, you know.
I like to tell people seek knowledge, whether it's about internet security, wink, wink, or philosophy, or learn about the government, the so-called government. Learn about other countries. Learn as much as you can about everything. Educate yourself, because education is not a degree, a piece of paper from a college. Nothing beats self-education.
Absolutely.
Yes, that's 100% correct.
Yeah, I can tell you from experience. You know, I went to a school, you know, for an IT degree, and you know, I was a Van Wilder. I was there for like 4 years for a 2-year degree, and I walked out of the college, you know, with an associate's degree in information technology, and I can tell you one thing: I was completely unprepared to work in the workplace. Everything else I had to learn from YouTube videos.
Well, yeah, you wouldn't believe how many people I know that have taken like you know, I mean, have different degrees in programming and stuff like that. And not to like toot my own horn by any means, but quite often they come to me and ask me questions, you know, and there might be better programmers, you know, in a specific area, you know, a specific language, but you know, I took an interest in it on my own time. I was never forced into, you know, just one particular thing, and I kind of just grew from there. But the only reason I think I even learned is because I had a genuine interest in it, not because I was like, oh, I enrolled in this $2,000 course and now I've got to finish it.
That's one of the things that I tell people: learn to code. I mean, you can go online and learn for free. Learn to code.
Isn't there? I referred a kid the other day. You know, he wanted to learn some basic, you know, programming language. So I told him, I just referred him to learnpython.org. You know, it's all out there. It's all out there. Even the programming languages, they have free sites. Well, not all of them, but some of them have free places that you can go.
I would say start with VB.
Visual Basic,
Yeah, and Python. Python's an easy language. That was actually the first one I ever looked into because it's based off of English.
Yeah.
You know, the syntax relates very, very closely to English.
Code Academy is perfect for that. I mean, you know, that's where I send a lot of people is Code Academy.
I used to as well, and that's actually where I learned Python. But when I went back to do JavaScript later, it had changed, and now they want you to pay to get the full courses with like the tutorial videos and stuff like that and the help. You actually have to pay them now, so that was kind of a bummer. But, you know, I mean, I definitely encourage, you know, if you're going to fly under a banner, understand where its roots are and have, you know, at least some interest and respect for that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with just being an activist without being anonymous.
Did any of you guys ever learn that stupid language ActionScript and then found out that it was like completely like obsolete a few years out?
I kind of gave it that sideways look when I first saw it. I was like, it's like the drum theory we were talking about, Tyler. It's kind of like, you know, okay.
I know, like my professor, she's like, how come none of your shit works? And I'm like, I'm completely blitzed out of my mind going to class. Like, I don't know.
But, you know, I mean, there's definitely kind of a feud that's been brewing, and it's not a new thing. The old blood, new blood thing has been around forever. I remember being a new blood and, you know, getting, you know, intimidated, maybe not intimidated, but, you know, talked to in a certain way by some of the old bloods when I first started. And that was a long time ago. And that existed then. And it was because I wasn't around for their beginning and they didn't know me. They didn't know to trust me. Some of them I'm very good friends with now. Some of them I don't know where the fuck they're at. But, you know, I mean, the people, when the dust settles, when everything's said and done and the dust settles, the people that are true to what they're doing will still be there doing what they're doing.
Right.
You had the money to buy a 9.
Hold on, I think George wants to hop on.
This is George Linux?
Yeah, hold on.
Oh, you know, George always loves to hit the topic of this right here.
Yeah, let me get him. Hold on.
Well, me and George have talked many times on air about this stuff. We've agreed and we've disagreed several times, I'm sure, but he's always a respectful individual.
And see, you nailed it right on the head right there, Jay. We disagreed, but we're good people. And
right.
a lot of that's one of the things that that tends to be a conflict between people who are just starting out. They come in and they're not quite sure yet, and they feel like you're coming down on them if you disagree with them or something, when all you're really trying to do is guide them in the right direction. And I think if more people would realize that, we wouldn't have such a butting of heads.
Well, it's also the upbringing,
That has a lot to do with it as well, yes.
The older guys, we had to put up with a lot more than what they're dealing with now, and it's like, you guys couldn't even handle half of what we went through growing up compared to now. Everybody wants
we didn't have the internet when I grew up.
Same here.
Right. Yeah, me neither.
I had dial-up. I had dial-up back in the day, when it was a CompuServe and all that, and we used to play Doom, and then my mom would always be pissed off. She'd be like, "I can't fucking call. I hear this over the phone."
I was already too busy skateboarding and getting high when that came
out. Right.
Remember when it was just AOL and it wasn't actually like integrated into like the World Wide Web?
You've got mail.
Yeah, you've got mail.
Yeah.
I hated that. That haunts me.
Or you used to be able to dial up. Company servers like Konami and stuff, and they had their own little stuff. Yeah, they had their own little programs that were like exclusive if you found the server.
I remember a game called Battlefield. Does anybody remember that game? Battlefield.
Are we talking about the board game?
No. This was a game. You dialed up the server and you could play it. God, I forgot what. I think it was. I want to say early 90s.
Red Alert was similar too, wasn't it?
Red Alert, exactly. That was another one.
Oh, I thought you were talking about that weird exclusive game that was like on AOL. It was like World War II, and you had this like plane, but like you were just hitting that like maybe 28 AK or 28 kbps, so that everything was.
No,
like,
but I remember that game though.
An ICQ.
I could just imagine some of the younger viewers, like really lost right now.
Oh yeah, remember back in they still got a port. They still got a port named for ID software, port 666. Remember, it was integrated to Windows 3.1 when they went off of the DOS. And remember that? It's still there.
Right before Windows 95, wasn't it?
It's still there, port 666. It's still registered to ID software.
Huh. Really?
Yeah.
You'll have to check that out.
Yeah, how much do you think they paid for port 666 for Doom?
Right. Doom was fucking legend back in the day, but fuck, man, that shit would get glitching on you. You couldn't tell whether you were going forward or up or down or backwards.
Yeah.
Or what the fuck? I honestly didn't really get into like computers until a few years ago. When I was younger, I was too busy doing fucking other shit. Like I said, I grew up without the internet, so I didn't really care about the internet even when it did come along. I had a neighbor that had internet. He was the only one I knew. His dad was a lawyer. They're the richest people in the neighborhood, and they had the AOL disc. And I remember going on there, and we could only go on for so long because otherwise their phone bill would be about $500-600 a month.
I was too young to remember. I think my parents were just always pissed off at me because I was always on. I don't remember paying the bills.
I was just more content with my skateboard and a fucking joint hanging out of my mouth.
Yeah, I think I was fortunate in that aspect because I had family that worked for the the government and military, and I was allowed into places that a child probably technically should have not been able to go into, where computers the size of a room. That were super cool. And, I remember those days where my uncle would take me to work with him. And I guess I was fortunate to be able to see that stuff. You know.
Didn't they have punch cards before they even came up with the
Yes.
with tape reels? Yeah.
And then they had like the reel-to-reels, and you know, it was really awesome time. And I think I've been a part of the computer field further back than I can remember. And I've learned a lot over the years. That's where I got my first formal training in computers, was from him. And he worked for the government doing writing some of the stuff that they probably still use today.
I shot a person from on top of the roof.
I was lucky enough. I had a buddy. I didn't appreciate it then, but I had a buddy who was into phone freaking and stuff. Back in the day.
2600, the magazine, fracking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Frack magazine. Yeah.
Well, it was free. It was Frack Freak, and then it was 2600. 2600 was the 2600 megahertz was the tone that you needed to get the phone. I believe that the old phone system was based on a Debian based, and it was all auditory tones that gave you.
Couldn't have been Debian based, because Debian's only been around since the late 90s, early 2000s.
Okay.
That's when Ian Murdoch was the founder of that, who's passed away.
But I was actually like doing some follow up on that. Somebody sent me a video on like. So these freaking guys, they used to have like these secret call clubs where like they're buried somewhere in the system where they would just like tap in. People would call each other all over the world for like free.
Phone bridges.
Hello?
Yeah, they definitely did. Yeah, I remember my buddy, and he showed me how to make free phone calls from any payphone just by tapping the little hang up button.
I used to do that all the time.
Remember the old loop button? It was 330 and the last four digits of your phone number, and then the phone companies took that away because like if you have like the wrong kind of setup, it would send your phone into an infinite loop. So every time you would put down the phone, it would start ringing again.
It would ring. Yeah.
I did that to my buddy's house, and they got. My friend's parents were calling my dad, and they're like, "What did you do to their house? Their phone will not stop ringing." And I'm just like, "I don't know."
I did it at my own house.
Oh my god! So I had a speaking of freaking, I knew this one guy. He was one of my sponsors. Yeah, he was into he was more into the criminal aspect of it, but he went to federal prison for this. He was into like his thing was breaking into the phone machines and stealing all the change, and he got caught.
We used to break into parking meters, but yeah, same.
No, he told me he got caught because he had like $10,000 worth of change, and I guess like there was already a case on him, and they found all these like quarters in his house and stuff and shit like that.
You look at like back in the day, the way that even computers, like I actually remember. I don't know if I'm incriminating myself here, but it's been a real long time. But this was back in the 90s, and there's a bank in Canada that we found out what time their machines reset. And it was 5:05 in the morning, and we went, and I got my own card once there, and I skimmed my card, so you could go with no money and no overdraft, and between 5:05 and 5:35 a.m. you could take out whatever your daily limit was. And so then we went out, and then we went downtown, and I hate to say this, but we pretty much exploited the homeless people down there. But we would pay them to go get a bank card in their name and then sell it to us. And we would do this, and these cards would go like 3 or 4 months before they would shut them down, going negatives into like the tens of thousands of dollars. Like if your daily limit on your card was $1,000 withdrawal, but you had zero money in the bank, we could go there every single night, Monday to Friday, and withdraw the daily limit. And we were buying cards off of, I remember having like 10 cards at a time. Like, I was living in the Radisson. I was like 18 years old, and I lived in a penthouse on the Radisson Suites, living it up. Like, and it was just such a simple glitch. And it took them forever to fucking.
So every day you were pulling out like $2,000.
Oh, yeah, dude. I still have clothes. I still have clothes that I bought then. I still own clothes that I bought then. I had enough clothes. I would go out and buy like $1,000 worth of clothes a day. I was living like a celebrity. But that lasted for a few months until basically they caught on to it, and then you could only do a card like once or twice, and then it would shut the card off automatically. But yeah, fuck. I mean, we exploited that. When I think about it now, that was pretty much a hack back then. You know what I mean? Like the safeguards in networks and computers were extremely minimal. I wish I fucking had the interest then that I do now, because fuck, it would have been a lot easier.
Tyler, is our feed down? Are we still live? Because I'm looking at it and it's just it's not working.
Well, it's because I'm gonna get hit with the piracy thing after this.
I see. Your job is done, sir. You can rest now.
No, we're still live.
Yeah, it's still live. Well, anyways, hey guys, I'm gonna let you guys go. I gotta get up in a few hours, go to work. But it was nice chatting, and you guys take care.
You too, man. I'm sorry you have to work on Saturday.
Yeah, no, me too. Trust me.
It was good meeting you, man.
Yeah, same here. All right.
All right. So who we have left? It's just me, you, Rose. Where's Rose?
Yeah, where is Rose? She's been pretty quiet, hey?
Where are you?
Smoking weed.
Hello. Smoke.
Don't judge me. All y'all know me. All y'all know me. No, I'm just kidding.
Fucking
No.
Humphrey over there. Share the wealth.
Oh man, I'm fucking. Every time I put the phone on mute, James is sticking the pipe in my face, like he's like, "Here, get hired." Maybe it's because I don't bitch as much if I'm high. I don't know.
Was that innuendo?
I don't know.
James, what kind of pipe are you sticking in her face, James?
No, I don't even know if he's listening anymore. I think he's kind of like I don't think he's a butthurt fag mode, but both of us on the show at the same time, it's too much for me.
Has he been fucking going through those books I gave him, or what? Has he been working on that?
Don't ask me that on the air. What the heck? You're gonna get me in trouble.
Yeah, but honestly, teaching new bloods at least the basic techniques is something that we should at least be doing,
Yeah, I know a fag or two that deserves a medal for as much bullshit as they put up with, but
well, no. I mean, okay, so check this shit out, right? So I don't know. I'm just saying that there was like this underage kid that saying he was a non, and I was like, whatever. And he PM'd me and was showing
and I would shelter them and put them in the New Blood chat and take good care of them.
He was PMing me, and he's like, look what I did, and he's DDoSing a video game website, and I'm just
Jesus.
I was just like, I asked like a stupid question. I said, are you taking any precautions to, so they don't know who you are? And he's like, what are you talking about? I was like, oh my God.
that click.
Yeah.
Well, see, I'm not really familiar. Like, if most people know me, they know that I'm an activist. I came into the techie part of it just researching, just because everybody else is doing it, and I wanted to see. I can do most household wiring and that kind of stuff, but with computers, I'm hands-on. So learning by reading is good for some people, but I'm one of those people that actually have to be taught. You know what I mean? I want to see it, so then I learn it. I could read it and comprehend it, but I'm more of a learning, like somebody is sitting in front of me and doing it. So
yeah, I don't want to blast
people
names
have
out
different
here, but
abilities.
we have a good Anon. He goes by the screen name. How should I say this? Should I say it here? Is it okay?
Go for it.
ZX Hacker. He puts out instructional videos, all the time.
Jay started it, James. Wow. No, he's not talking shit.
You're like the biggest liar.
Oh, I didn't say that you weren't reading the books, James. I did not say. Fucking Jay.
I mean, a lot of his stuff. Some of his stuff is advanced, and some of his stuff is pretty basic. But you can kind of get a general sense of it's just some of the basics.
Can I throw some things out there for anybody that's listening that does want to learn?
Yeah.
Download and install Metasploitable 3. There's Metasploitable and Metasploitable 2, which are built off of Linux systems, but they're all CLI. Metasploitable 3 is like it's built like a fucking company's web server. Actually, I just made a video. I'm just waiting for it to fucking encode right now. on exploiting it manually with it. It's meant to exploit with Metasploit, but I did it manually. Found doing Nmap scans. Found the WebDAV, uploaded shell onto there. They had like hidden network on there. I'll have the video up here tonight or tomorrow, whenever I can get it encoded. It's taken forever because it's pretty long, but doing privilege escalations and adding users and then accessing like remote desktop and stuff. So I did a couple, and I got a couple of SQL videos and stuff that I put out. By all means, I'll share them around, but if you want to, there's definitely people willing to teach. It's hard to dedicate the time when you're trying to do your own thing to being like fully hands-on for other people. But if somebody's got a legitimate question, or like somebody like James that I talk to fairly often, and he's a good brother of mine, I will go out of my way to spend 2 hours on a phone call helping him set up his shit.
He will. And the thing is, like, we're in the middle of moving, so he wants to spend so much time. Like, I go back to work on the 20th.
Broken, man.
Yeah, and his keyboard, my son, okay.
I'll send a picture right
he's
now.
like threatening to shit you a picture of his keyboard.
Tell him I'm just fucking with him. I know.
He's just
I know
fucking with you. We move in 7 days too, babe. Don't worry.
Oh,
don't worry.
Somebody mentioned Cybrary. That's another good resource as well.
Cyber. Okay, so yeah, Metasploitable 3. There's another one called DVWA. It stands for Damn Vulnerable Web Application, and that's all about website hacking. XWVA, which is Extremely Vulnerable Website or Web Application, is another one. Then go to the OWASP website. They've got tons. Matilde. These are all web applications that you can host on your own system that have built-in vulnerabilities, known vulnerabilities that you can exploit legally and teach yourself how to attain certain skills.
Wasn't there a website? Isn't there a website out there?
Hack This Site.
Yeah, Hack This Site.
Which was started by Jeremy Hammond.
Yeah.
Yes. It was founded by Jeremy Hammond. Yeah, that site's still up, and that's a really good one. It's a little more advanced, for some people. I would suggest that you definitely need to learn how to understand JavaScript and HTML before you start exploiting that, because you actually have to pore through source code in order to be able to exploit some of the vulnerabilities. But they have a lot of stuff on there, and they do have a forum with a lot of people that, if you ask the questions in the right way, are willing to help guide you. They will never give you the answer, but they will guide you in certain ways if you approach them in the right aspect, in the right way, in the right manner.
I guess that's one of the biggest things as a new fag I had to go through is so many videos of, oh, you want to learn this? Then here you research it. Then you research it. Then you research it. And that's one of the things too when you're on my end learning about computers is that if somebody doesn't want to learn, they have to be willing to research it, And it started for me simple things like torrents or streaming or learning how to factory reset and techie job shit. But
you have to start at the basics. You definitely do have to start at the basics. But there comes a point where you start to connect dots. I mean, that's at least what I found.
Yeah. When
that's how it is
even for me, there's certain things that I'm just like, some of these kids are doing, and I'm just like, what the hell are you doing? And I'm just like, Rose, until the dots start connecting, I don't understand,
It becomes almost second nature after a while.
Yeah.
And if I read a lot of tutorials too, and speaking of Metasploit, I think it was last year, something like that. I wrote a tutorial on how to combine Nmap and Metasploit. And Rose, I believe you're an admin in Freedom Fighter, so you have access to all those files. And I think it's if you're interested in it.
I think I remember seeing you post those actually. And yeah, Nmap is integrated into Metasploit now. So
yes,
it's definitely powerful. If you set up Metasploit properly, you can save all of your configurations. You can have a certain database connected specifically to one area. If you do want to get into this recon, start understanding. That's where I started doing Nmap scans. And then researching when I would get results on those. A lot of times when I first started, I had no idea what the fuck half the shit was running on half the ports, so I started Googling them. And if you run a version scan, that becomes extremely beneficial because, not every mail server FTP server is vulnerable, but certain versions of oddly enough, very secure FTP server is like one of the most vulnerable. Certain versions of it. Not everything you find is going to be worthwhile. So it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time, and
it's a never-ending process. I mean, you're constantly, updating your knowledge and learning, different techniques and every day. And the two things that I would like to tell anybody coming into this: number one, there's not a magic button you can hit and automatically hack something. And number two, learn and don't stop learning.
Never stop learning. I mean, there's so much, just not even in the computer world in life. You have to be willing to open up your mind and your heart to learning more and more every day. And every day is going to be something new. And for me, I'm not bugging you while you're studying, James, and you wonder why he's not on the show at the same time. Okay. When you date someone who's not is awake, sorry. Okay. Yeah, but as you research stuff and learn and as you grow as an activist, there's different things that you want to know, Like we see as activists in a community of hackers, we see what's done and what's said, and it creates that interest only because online the two communities dwell, you know what I mean? So for me, there's a lot of people that are interested in not just in basic protecting of their Facebook, but I mean, if you have a friend that's on your friends list and their wall is completely like they're sharing family stuff and it's like out of control, be a friend and message them. Because I've seen a lot of that the last few days.
Like my Facebook is mostly just pictures of me and my wife. Like, I mean, not to say, but that's for me on Facebook because I'm not big.
I think on
Facebook,
I when I had to resort back to like a personal one, and then I had changed it I think 6 or 8 months before I decided to go back. I found myself deleting anything that I had linked my name or GPS hit. So I'm just like, fuck. It was like 5 years worth of fucking deleting.
I think for most of us, it can be said that Facebook is for fun. Our personal business gets done and no one ever hears about it.
Yeah, exactly. My Facebook, even my one that's not in my real name, is mostly real shit, and it is. I don't have Fox attached to it. I don't have Haxer attached to it. You know what I mean? Because that just draws attention. Because I don't want that being. I don't want that being what I project. Because
or you might find yourself with the funny, your account has been disabled.
well, either that or just I find people are more eager to listen when you put a face and a name, as opposed to a mask and an alias. Well, at least an alias that is obviously an alias. I mean.
Yeah, like John Smith, or not throwing him under the bus, just an example.
See, and that's why I use my real name, my real identity, because to me there's no point in hiding. I can be anonymous and be an activist and do everything that I do, and give a guy a bottle of water, whatever you want to call it, but I do it as who I am.
Yeah, and I mean. You definitely, Mark. I know you have a lot of anonymous stuff on your Facebook profile, and to me that doesn't necessarily bother me either. That people actually post that stuff because it's showing at least a level of support for something. But I highly doubt that you go on there and post incriminating evidence against yourself.
No,
or anything like.
For me, it's definitely true. I don't think any of us on this chat would do very well.
I was just going to say, isn't that what we have pages for?
Well, not even on pages, they're not secure. But as I was saying, none of us would do well in prison without internet.
No, I would literally start shaking like I'm DTing from alcohol or something. Like, oh God, oh God.
And Facebook, don't get me wrong, Facebook, there's a place for Facebook. If you want to share a legitimate, and I'm going to say the word legitimate, news story, if you want to share information, contact other anons for non-incriminating chats, and I'm being very specific in what I'm saying here because I want people to know. Facebook is not the place for ops. Facebook is not the place for pictures of the government sites you just DOSed, or whatever. It's just not the place for it.
That could be used against you in a court of law.
I don't mind seeing the promotion of some ops, like the op OPEC that I've seen recently. It's an op I fully support, and I think that you do have to have a channel to to communicate with the general public as well, to inform them, because a lot of people view groups like Anonymous or offshoots of groups like as threatening.
Absolutely, they look at domestic terrorists.
Yeah, but if you could put out what is actually happening now, I would highly suggest that the person that is running those pages is not hands-on involved in the op. They might know somebody and know how to communicate with them securely on other means and be able to pass said information, because that's the way leaks happen, right? That's the way that information like the Vault 7 leaks happen. Like Raymond was saying, that was all over the dark net. But it wasn't. It wasn't. So somebody didn't post it in a Facebook group.
No, God no.
Yeah, I got asked that question the other day. And why aren't you all in a whole bunch of Facebook Messenger groups? Why don't I ever see you there?
Because
I almost,
Facebook Messenger groups
I almost
are
had
so
a choke laughing. I almost had a choke laughing. I do not want that effing drama. If other females do, that's fine. If other people want to be in tons of groups, that's cool.
Have you ever walked into a chat
I can't
room?
do it.
Yeah, when people start deleting each other, and now they got the new ones with the admin controls, and I'm just like, dude, I don't want to deal with that kind of
No, I'm cool. I'm cool because I just don't want to be everybody all in my business. I want to be able to do ops and focus. And I mean, communicating about ops is one thing, like street activities and stuff like that. But like you guys said, Facebook is not the place to be.
Not doing any kind of sensitive work by any means. I mean, I might not have been able to shut up here tonight. I may have been talking my face off, but a lot of people know that when it comes to being online, I don't say a lot, really. I'm not big on being vocal online, at least on, Facebook or Twitter, which I do have a Twitter account, but I'm not overly vocal on there. I don't even like to communicate. Even with my friends, I would prefer to call them. You know what I mean? But there are places where I do have conversations.
What do you think about using XMPP servers for communications?
Like, are you talking like using pigeon messaging or something?
Yeah.
Like off the record?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, you know what? I was reading the other day about how that is one of the few forms of communication that is still considered extremely secure. Although I guess, in light of the Vault 7 stuff, if you're running XAMPP on your phone, which some people do, then yeah, you're probably not as secure as you think you are. But yeah, I use Jabber all the time.
Yeah, Jabber.
I use Jabber all the time for secure communications.
Yeah, because I played around with WickerMe and stuff like that, and it has its limitations. On I tried it on. It had its limitations on you couldn't do group messaging and stuff like that. But I get it. It's end-to-end encryption, but it has
Wicker. I don't. Yeah, Wicker, I don't trust very much.
I don't. Yeah, it promises a lot, but it has its limitations as far as what it's capable of.
See, like when I use Jabber, you have to connect through Tor, which a lot of people argue that Tor is not secure. Tor is secure as the user that's using it. The browser has been exploited for sure, and I use a torque file when I connect to Tor that makes sure that I don't exit through any exit nodes in America, Great Britain, France, Canada. I exclude my exit nodes to countries that have no laws, basically.
Have you ever used? And I know everybody always talks shit about me, but I've always been a big fan of using the Underwolf program, the non-surf. Yeah. Play with it.
With a non-surf, like Parrot, like on the Parrot boxes?
Well, yeah, no, I got it on Kali, working, and it's it's slow as fuck, but still I feel safer using it than I would
You
VPN.
definitely, you know what? There's another app that I actually a good friend of mine actually is one of the coders that wrote the bulk of the script, but there's a GUI version of it too. It's called Anonymate. Anon ANONMY8, like the number 8.
Mm-hmm.
And it basically it sets up Provoxy, Polypo, and then you can use John Doe, which is another good app as well for having your Tor
I have heard of John Doe. Yeah.
Exit through there instead. But my buddy, it goes through the AnonSec tunnels and connects through there. It comes with custom torque files, the GUI, I believe. But I actually helped with the testing on the original script that was built off of. You can find it on Kitploit, which is a good spot for finding any kind of tools related to network security of any type. But and I believe actually it's on GitHub as well. Anonymate is, but yeah, I actually helped with the testing on that.
Wasn't there some sort of version, and I never actually saw it, but I saw a video of a tweaked version of Linux that was anonymous or something.
Unix? Tails.
No.
Unix gateway. All right. So if another good thing to do that you could do is if you want to set up VirtualBox. I actually run a lot of stuff like this. I'll run VirtualBox on a VM on a host system. Then I have the Unix gateway, which functions as a Tor router, and it funnels all of your traffic through Tor. And you connect your other virtual machines through the Unix gateway like a router through, like you have to set up you have to manually set up your network, but it's not all that complicated. A few internet tutorials I'm sure will point you in the right direction, but yeah, it basically runs through there. I would run a VPN with Tor as well, always, just for the added protection.
Yeah.
I would go through Tor to VPN. But and like I said, John Doe is another one that you can set to have Tor exit through there through port 4441 through John Doe. There's lots of different ways. I2P is another good darknet that I like to use.
Oh, I was big on the one page is always up there, the Dallas Hackers Club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I2P. I will not use IRC without being on I2P. IRC2P.
The only thing I hate about I2P, and I don't know if you guys have finished.
Slow as fuck.
Yeah, it takes about 30 minutes for it to find the next hop, and then you gotta tweak it a little bit, and then
if you turn your bandwidth way up, you'll get a lot better connection. But a lot of times you gotta sit there, like if you're surfing the web through I2P, and you're like, it'll be like cannot connect to server, and you have to hit refresh like 10 times. But if you're serious about being like having anonymity, if you're serious about that, then it's a small price to pay.
You're going to take every precaution needed.
Yeah, exactly.
With that being said, for those listening, trying to do anything on your grandma's computer is a bad idea.
Plus your grandma will find out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, stay off of Windows if you can.
I know. I have to broadcast this on a Windows box because I always have problems with plugins and stuff on Kali.
yeah. Linux is bad for that. Drivers and different plugins and compatibilities and it's
audio. Audio is always the biggest one.
It gets really frustrating after a while. I do a lot of work on Linux-based servers, and I want to take a baseball bat to them half the time.
Yeah, he didn't make a driver for this device. You're like, oh shit.
And workarounds are very limited.
Yes. The best thing about Linux is the fact that it gives you the amount of full control you have over your systems. But Linux is, a lot of people have a false sense of security by running Linux. running Linux does not guarantee you anything. I actually had my browser hooked fairly recently. I actually building a vulnerable web application myself. It's a WordPress site, with PHP and MySQL, and I was going searching for an image that I want to use, and so I went surfing the web looking for certain images that related to what I was doing, and I found one that was super cool, and I clicked on it, and my fucking browser got hooked by some fucking motherfuckers in India telling me that my Windows computer had been infected and to send them my password and serial number and a 1-800 number to call.
Oh,
and
to
you know
unlock
what?
it, right? They wanted you to pay like
To,
what,
to
100 rupees?
it was just something like that. Well, I called them and they were like, "Who's this?" I was like, "Callie." They're like, "Callie who?" I'm like, "Callie Linux, bitch." I ended up though having to uninstall my network drivers and reinstall. They hooked me good. They got me good, but I ended up I got all their shit now. All their base belong to me now. So, I mean, if anybody saw that video of the guy, that it was pretty much the exact same thing. And the guy who he did a video. It's on YouTube. You can find it, and it was pretty much the exact same thing. It was a browser hook and a phishing site, and so he decided to email them, and he uploaded a payload in the email, and I think he used some stenography or something like that in a screenshot that he sent them, and basically he hacked them online, and he did it live, and it was just so epic. And then the guy that hooked him with the phishing site was threatening to call the police, and he was just like, "What are you going to tell them, that you hacked me and now I've hacked you back and you're pissed off?" And the guy's like, and then basically he's like, "I'm going to show this to everybody, and the guy, he extorted the guy right online pretty much. He was like, "No, you pay me, motherfucker." I didn't go that far.
You could hack somebody live time with the software that I'm using and stream it somewhere else. Oh, you got really dead quiet.
Yeah, I was wondering what happened there.
Everybody's
I'm taking
like,
a piss.
For me personally, and maybe I'm just, I don't know, too set in my ways. A combination of three things, nothing beats it. Chaining proxies, free Wi-Fi somewhere, and a laptop that I can throw away and not give a crap about later.
What about old warthogging and air crack?
Yeah. I wish that was more viable where I live in Canada. The technology is actually really advanced. Like, cracking people's Wi-Fi here is fucking next to impossible. Like, unless you've got like a hash cracking machine that's fucking extremely powerful.
What about that website Hashcat?
Oh, no, it would take a long ass time. Like, all of our ISPs have like these router modem combos, and they all have locking APs that basically after 10, so you can't brute force them whatsoever. And even if you de-authenticate them and capture the handshakes and try to crack the hashes, they're all salted like insanely fucking complex fucking like hashes that would take for fucking ever to decrypt. I mean, it's not to say they'd be impossible, but if you had like an 8 GPU fucking 12 core processing hash cracking unit, then that might be viable. But here, like, you can't go war driving with your laptop.
I was trying to.
You're driving around in the car. What are you doing? I'm like, I'm trying to crack somebody's Wi-Fi in a car. Yeah, seriously.
I was trying to teach somebody how to. I was trying to explain a four-way handshake to somebody. I think they just retired and broke their computer and they're off the grid now or something. I think I broke them because they just did not understand it. It was funny, and not everybody gets it. I mean, I think it's kind of a hands-on thing for people to learn. It's not something that you can explain to somebody.
No, and there was a point in time where I wouldn't have understood that either. So, like I say, it's about sticking with it. But yeah, a lot of people don't get it, and because they don't get it, they give up.
They get frustrated very easily. Exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's embedded in my personality that I can't stand being won over, or not won over, but beat. I can't stand
Absolutely.
losing to the machine.
Absolutely, it gets
You ever get
frustrating.
those moments when you get so pissed off you just want to throw it across the room?
Yeah, all the time. My wife could tell you. I sit here and literally pull my hair. Like my hair just is completely spiked on end by the end of it because I get so mad. My blood pressure must be through the roof. I start sweating and I start pulling on the front of my hair and it's all fucking like hawked in the front and stuff just for me pulling on it. And I'm like cursing and swearing under my voice. God damn this fucking thing. I'm going to throw it over the balcony. I swear to God.
You know, it's really weird because, and this is don't laugh at me. Promise me you will not laugh at me. But out of all the languages that I've learned, it was harder for me to learn Python than anything. And I don't understand why, but it was so frustrating for me to just get it. My mind could not grasp it at first, and it took me months, probably twice as long to learn any other language.
I've heard other people say that were very experienced in other languages, like prior to.
Yeah.
But I was pretty noob myself, and it was other than HTML, which was the very first thing I ever did. But I went to Python after that, which, in hindsight, I actually wish I had gone to VB first and like some of the other languages. But other people had told me that Python was a good language because of the way it relates to English. I think a lot of people that code that have certain formation, like, certain structures and certain syntaxes into their head. I think Python is it's like keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I had a tendency to overthink it. It's probably what it was, and it was just very frustrating.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've heard a couple people say that actually. I've heard a couple people say that, but I'd say one of the easier places to start is with Bash scripting, though. It's pretty simple stuff like building Bash scripts. If you know syntax for your commands, it's pretty easy. But like you were saying earlier, I encourage everybody to go out. I'm no master at coding at any particular language, but I took it upon myself to understand it so that when I am reading code that I know what I'm looking at and I know what I'm looking for.
I still have problems with English, hell, so I obviously.
I'm the most dyslexic person, so when things I make, they don't work, I'm just like.
I can never spell the word definitely. And I type it all the time. It's probably one of my most common used words. It's probably saved in my phone incorrectly spelt because I've spelled it that way so many times.
Yep,
my
char
phone's
set
like
equals what? Okay.
Going back to what we were discussing earlier about tech and ways that the government have found to intrude on our lives, our private lives, and a lot of people don't realize. And my brother being one of them, he's one of the least tech savvy people that I know. He gets a new cell phone and he loads it up with all of these apps. And what a lot of people don't realize is that these apps have malware in them that can do any number of things, and people need to be a little more conscious of what they're doing and what they're adding to an already tainted source, such as your computer that you bought at Best Buy that's got all the software that the government has pre-installed on it.
Like,
remember,
do you guys have the 7-Eleven app down in the States where you get free shit every day from 7-Eleven?
Yes.
I think so.
Every time I go there, they're like, "Do you have the 7-Eleven?" I'm like, "No," and then I go on a big spiel about it. They don't ask me anymore, but
your 40s are on sale.
Right?
Didn't for a while they were selling computers without operating systems on, so you could choose which one you want, and then they stopped doing it for a while, right? Laptops
at 7-Eleven. At 7-Eleven.
At 7-Eleven?
No, I thought that's where you were saying. Oh, you could still you could build a computer with zero operating system.
No, I'm talking about just a laptop with nothing on it. There was a while. I was seeing it on I constantly look for things I can't afford, and for a while they were selling just laptops and towers with no operating system on it, but you don't see that anymore.
A great source for particularly used laptops for your anti-government enthusiasts as I was going back to saying what I was saying earlier, our pawn shops, you can wipe them and put anything you want on them. And, and that's the best way for me personally to do it. Because I always have an extra disc for, Kali or Windows or whatever laying around. I've got tons of discs. Just throw it on there, and when you're done with the laptop, pull the RAM and throw the rest away.
Yep. Definitely. That app that I was talking about, that Linux app for the
Metasploit
Tor. Fuck. Sometimes, man, it's hard to get the words out. The Tor tunneling and stuff like that, where it says transparent proxies, the Anonymate. It also has automatic RAM wiping and everything built into it. Every time you start it or stop it, it wipes your RAM, clears your cache, everything like that. So just another plug for that Linux app out there for anybody listening. But yeah, I mean, and then there's the other thing too. Like, people don't think about how they're connected when they make purchases with, say, your bank card. And you buy a computer with an IE or like the Mac device is connected to a fucking number that's on there, the serial number is connected, and basically they can track, if they really wanted to, that could be tracked back to you as well. Through
you can change. It's built into Kali. You can change it with Machanger.
Yeah, Mac changer.
Machanger -R, to a random Mac.
Yeah. That's also built into that script I was just talking about as well. It automatically starts that for you. But yeah, Mac Changer is a good one because, I don't know how many people have heard of Shodan, but you can search devices through Shodan. That's actually
Shodan was, or
Shodan, yeah.
.io, right?
Yeah, that's it. You can locate devices by their MAC address.
I've played around with it for the free version. Don't you have to pay to get the full capability of that search engine?
I got my API key for free, and it's pretty functional. I haven't had too many limitations. Like, I could literally type in .il into the search bar, and it'll just pull up all kinds of shit from Israel. And then you can just search through all these servers, and it'll tell you, like, do they have FTP login with anonymous login, which anonymous login, literally you type anonymous as your username and leave the password field blank, or type in random keys and you can access FTPs. Like, man, there is a lot of shit. Like, actually, that is the DDoS that brought down Dyn. A lot of the research that was done for that and finding devices was done through Shodan.
And the source code for that program is up on GitHub now.
Yeah. So anybody listening out there, if you want to cripple the internet,
go to GitHub.
Go to GitHub. Yeah. I love GitHub. I love that place.
I think the capacity of that program, if you get it hooked up right, it's like 650 megabits.
Yeah, that's a small price to pay.
Why am I in federal prison?
Yeah, that's a big price to pay. That's the price I'm worried about paying about anything. Yeah.
That's another important thing that we, our viewers should probably, think about is stay up to date. LOIC is not a reliable piece of software anymore.
You're gonna get caught.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That went out with the pool is closed sign.
Yeah, that's right. Most people don't even know what the pool is closed even means. So, you
guys ever play around with them?
AIDS and stingrays everywhere, fuckers.
There's even like that I don't know, it's a kind of a crap program, but it does have its benefit. It was the UFOnet. Yeah,
UFOnet was pretty good. I haven't used that in ever. Ever. I've never used that, but yeah, that I don't know. I haven't read much about it lately, but it definitely had its use back in the day. It was pretty powerful.
Uh-huh.
It was basically like a Loic version of a botnet.
Well, it's not a real botnet, but
No, but it had a lot of the same functionality.
yeah.
They had servers and people connected all over the place that, would pool the connections and yeah.
Well, yeah, sometimes you'll see the script, you'll see it like if you go back to the terminal, you'll see it clocking out. You're like, why is this server taking forever to send a fucking packet?
yeah, which is pretty much useless at that point.
You're like, yeah, that was the whole point of getting this program. It's like you have 1,500 zombies, cool.
No, you don't. No, definitely, probably not. But like Mark was saying, if you're using Loic, don't. Your VPN will not protect you using Loic.
I don't think anything will protect you anymore. That's how bad it is. Oh.
Well, I've had this discussion many times. If you are worth it, if you are worth the resources, they will find you. It's a matter of whether or not you are worth their resources. If you're worth pouring $1 million into hunting down, they're going to find you. If if you're not, if what you've done and what you've got is, nothing to them, they're not going to waste the resources chasing after you. But, they can track your, they will track your Tor nodes around the globe, track and hunt you down.
Absolutely, depending on what you do.
Yep.
Years ago when I was spent my nights, weekends, and every spare moment on Hellbound Hackers, I learned the hard way about security, and ever since then, that's been my first priority. Regardless of what,
a funny knock on the door with guys with gadgets.
Exactly. Regardless if I'm looking at porn or whatever, I always make sure that that my system is secure. And it took me learning the hard way to go, hey, you know what? I could do some prison time over this, so it's time to put a little more effort into it. And everyone else should do that as well that's listening.
I was gonna say up until talking about our other guests, they because of Aaron's law, the maximum punishment for getting caught with any of this stuff was 25 plus, right?
Yeah, that's too much.
Well, then now they got what's called Aaron's law, which they've tried to lower some of the cyber crimes because some of it, I don't know. When you try to explain to a judge in like simplistic terms that what they really did. Yeah, they don't. I don't know. It's like it doesn't. I don't know. For me, the crime doesn't fit what they did.
No, well, he paid with his life.
Yeah.
Whether it was suicide or not, they did that to him.
Well, so Aaron Schwartz, he didn't even. All he was doing is he was downloading.
Fuck JSTOR.
Yeah, he was downloading JSTOR, and I wasn't sure on what exactly he was doing, but Aaron was known for researching this stuff, and apparently all of the documents and papers from colleges and stuff have to go through the JSTOR or whatever it was, and he was downloading that and trying to do some research, but they had incriminated him for what was it?
Well, he had actually hooked up a laptop in the server room.
Yeah, in the basement. The FBI came in and put in a program. Or was that was monitoring?
A camera. They put in an actual camera. Like, I mean? Instead of just trying to stop it, they set up a fucking, they set up a honeypot basically on the guy and then fucking laid into him and tried to make an example out of him. And, all the weight of everything that was coming down on him and what he was facing was obviously too much for the guy.
Somebody's saying actually John A. Nimpo? I don't know.
He's a Canadian guy, I'm pretty sure.
Oh. I don't know.
It's really sad that, rapists and pedophiles get less time than, social activists. And I'm being very cautious about the terms I use. I'll just say social activists. But pedophiles get less time in prison than, and it kind of tells you how misplaced and how screwed up our so-called justice system is.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there should be some kind of consideration. A differentiation between the letter of the law and the spirit of the law. When people are facing criminal prosecution, like the Lori Love situation, the guy's not asking to be exonerated right now. He's asking for a fair trial, and he's asking for it in his country. But when you look at Raymond was saying, he could face 3 months to 3 years in the UK. You're more. Nobody said that hacking the U.S. government was legal, but but the spirit of the law and the letter of the law. The letter of the law was written after that movie. What was that fucking movie with the nuclear attacks and the hackers?
Oh, War Games.
Yeah, War Games.
With
yeah,
Matthew Broderick, right?
Shall we play a game?
Exactly, and it was brought in, and it was meant to. Back then, the internet was all military shit, and these laws were brought in, for foreign spies and fucking enemies of the state. And that's the way that people that are seeking information are being treated, like they're some kind of fucking enemy of the state that's out to cripple the United States and all of the people that live there, when really a lot of them are trying to free them or enlighten them to what's really going on in the world.
Yeah, I've heard of some more crippling hacks. One of my roommates was really, really, really good. He was into hacking things that you would never think about, and he was working for John Deere, and apparently John Deere on the big farms had found a way to automate everything via GPS, using certain connections. And he was this one hacker had come up to the company and had told them that they could actually get into the automated farm device, which is all run on computer systems, and start because some of these machines drills to certain depths so the seeds could grow, and they were saying that somebody could hack into this and devastate the farming community with automated systems. By lowering the depths, hiring the depths, is having the seed sprayer just spray out randomly,
and basically cripple a nation through that.
That is a real danger. But also it comes down to the point is, like, why are we having all these machines automated and on a connection?
Well, luckily enough, that guy had the moral sense to bring it to light instead of exploiting it.
The guy that came to my buddies when he was working with them, he essentially was going to exploit it, but then he felt like he had some duty to come up to John Deere and tell them what was up with their system.
Yeah.
Wasn't it Mindex that said the truth wants to be free? Let's set it free.
Let the people decide.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, that's just it. That's why I said, like, earlier in the show, I remember saying knowledge is open source.
Absolutely.
And that applies to pretty much all knowledge as far as I'm concerned. Whether it be knowledge of what your government is really up to, or just knowledge to educate yourself and enlighten yourself. And, in Aaron Schwartz's case, I believe his argument, and it seems like a valid one to me, was that he was taking said information to enlighten himself and to, work on other projects. And, why should he have to pay JSTOR in order to attain knowledge that should be available to anybody?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's like the patent. Have any of you guys ever gone through the U.S. patent records? Holy fuck, there's some fucked up shit on there, man.
No, I haven't actually.
You could spend your life going through there, and it would take an entire lifetime to look at everything.
Yeah. Well, there was one that I came across. Mark, you probably know
Abaddon?
Abram.
Oh,
Abaddon,
yeah.
Yes.
Abaddon. I do.
Well, this was a few years ago, and he had brought one up, and I started reading through it, and it was a Google patent about monitors, computer monitors, and television screens, and the frequency they emit and you can still search this. I'm going to have to find this somewhere. But basically used as mind control.
I remember that.
To
I've seen
incite
that.
feelings of rage or happiness or whatever it might be. And using, I think it was 2.4 gigahertz frequency emanating from screens to actually control people. And this is a U.S. patent that is available to anybody. You don't need to hack this. You can
I think
find
it was
this.
the natural, what they call the butterfly wave. It's like 66 kilohertz or megahertz. No, it's megahertz because that'd be radio. So it was the fluctuations on the TV. They call it the butterfly wave. Is like has natural hypnotic properties, and essentially you could do some, mind. The theory was that you could do some mind control from the natural oscillation of the waves coming from the TV set.
Yeah. I mean that and there you can search this in the U.S. patents records, and this is something that Google has registered. I mean, how the government could even look at this and be like, "Oh, cool, yeah,
Sounds
for
like
sure."
a viable way to treat your citizens.
Yeah, right. Like how
There's
could you
stuff in
patent
there
that?
it's scary. Some of it's pretty scary.
Oh, it's very scary. It's scary to say the least. This comes down to people educating themselves on the desire to search for things. Unfortunately for myself, I have to admit that over the last year or so, I've been not nearly as in depth researching and expanding my own knowledge as I could be. My wife, we got married a little while ago. She came here from the States, and she has residency here. Right now, she has a temporary residency. We're in the middle of applying for a permanent residency, but she has no work permits. So I've had to basically support household on a single income.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much, man. Thank
You
you
know,
very
I'm
much.
I'm in the same thing with Sammy because, as you know, she came from Australia, and she's just got her paperwork and everything. And not only is it very costly, it's very time consuming, and it can get very frustrating after a while. And
we've been going through the same thing, man. It is really tough. It is hard.
Well, I wish you the best of luck with that, sir. With you and your new wife, and may you have a lifetime of happiness. So.
Well, yeah, and like you said, it is very costly. We've already spent thousands of dollars, and we've got a bit more money to spend and a few more documents. And the hardest part about it is waiting to hear back from them, saying yes, you've been approved, or yes, you haven't been approved. It's actually easier for me.
It's like going to court, or being with somebody who's having an operation. You don't quite know what's going to happen next.
Exactly. Fortunately, she's been doing like nannying work, which is allowed. It's the one thing you're allowed to do here without a work permit. So she's been picking up part-time work recently. So it's been easing the burden quite a bit. But there was 9 months of basically me working endlessly and tirelessly, more than I had in the past, to put food on the table. And I'm a firm believer in the way that the economy is set up, that we have to work set amount of hours in order just to get by.
No.
And I believe that the big reason that is to keep us uneducated, because I find even myself having to support us both during this time. I don't have the time to read, and I don't want her to hear this and feel bad, because I by all means, I would do anything for her. No matter what it took, I would make any sacrifice, whatever it may be. But I mean, it has taken a toll.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure it has. I have a lot of friends from Winnipeg, and they tell me a lot of stories about how difficult it is to get citizenship in Canada.
It's way harder than America. Actually, it's
Absolutely.
funny because
I heard you can't even if you have a DUI or drug charge,
no,
you can't even
come into Canada.
Damn. I guess I can't go.
No, she actually the first time we came, because we actually met online through Anonymous, actually. And we talked and talked and talked and talked forever. And the first time that she actually ever came to Canada, I went down there and met her family. I spent a couple weeks down in Philadelphia, and had a wicked time. So we crossed over into Canada, and we got there, and they scooted me through the border check, or through customs, and then they held her, and then they refused her entry into Canada, based on she had been charged with something that she had actually been cleared of, but the records hadn't been updated yet either. So there was no record of her being found guilty of it, but there was also no record of her being, found innocent either. And they actually turned her away at the fucking border. And we had spent thousands of dollars on flights because I don't live in the city I grew up in. And so I flew from the west coast of Canada to Philadelphia. And then we had already purchased our tickets from there to Halifax, which is on the East Coast, which is where I grew up. And then from Halifax to the West Coast of Canada. And I mean, it was expensive. And then she got turned away. So that was frustrating at the least. But, we went through the proper means. She went to the courthouse down there. She had everything updated, all of her information. She did come back to Canada, and they let her in. And then she was here on her visitor's visa, which was 6 months. And then we extended that again, which cost another pile of money. And we got married and all that. Now we're just waiting to finish the final paperwork. But man, if you're trying to support a fucking family or even any kind of dependent, being able to enlighten yourself and educate yourself becomes a real task, because the amount of time that you have to put in every day just to get by, and I'm sure it's the exact same in America.
I think it's actually worse.
Yeah, definitely. It is. It doesn't leave you any time to educate and gain knowledge. And I think that the system is designed that way on purpose. They don't want an educated. They don't want an educated electoral, pool of. They don't actually want educated voters when it comes time for election, or you wouldn't have had an election between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton.
Absolutely. I mean, it's hard to believe that those were our only choices. I won't even go into politics, but I mean, it's hard to believe that those were our only choices.
I'm going to go into it very briefly. You wouldn't believe how often I go and troll Hillary supporters and get called a Donald Trump supporter.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm like, no.
My wife said it best. It's the dumbing down of America.
Yeah.
And it is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely is. It's the dumbing down of the world, though. And that's where I think that America is hell-bent on domination. I don't think that they plan on holding the world hostage with nuclear arms. I feel like they want to dumb down the world. They don't want you to know
what's going on. They don't want anyone. It's like the meme. Go back to sleep. Your government is in control.
Yeah. That's perfectly said. That's exactly it. But they're not supposed to be in control.
No, absolutely not.
It's supposed to be that they work for us. They're actually our servants, but meanwhile they get these massive pensions, unrealistic salaries for anybody, that could ever, you or I could ever hope. Man, I work a dangerous ass job. I work power lines, and I have to say I am way better off than a lot of people. I do work a very high paying blue collar job. But still, even being in the position I'm at, which is well above average for Canada even, I still find it hard to get by. You know what I mean? I can't even imagine how people with minimum wage and families, I could never even fathom how they even exist, how they even manage to exist and continue putting a roof over their head, how many stressful nights they must have, because I have a lot of stressful nights worrying about money. I hate to say it, but I do.
Same here.
Being realistic, I'm better off. I'm better off than the majority of people. So that means the majority of people stress more than I do.
And I want to do a shout out to places like St. Vincent's de Paul, St. Mary's Food Bank. Some of these groups that help some of these lower, and I'll use the word lower income families. by giving them, boxes of food. I mean, if it wasn't for groups like these, some of these people wouldn't even have a roof over their head. And a lot of these people have children who go to bed with empty stomachs. And that right there should tell the majority of even the people who are yet to be awakened that there's something really wrong.
The fact we have empty bellies at all, when the amount of money that's poured into, and not just in America, but into military, primarily, what they call defense, which I mean, when was the last time America had to defend itself? How do they even have a Department of National Defense? They don't have to defend themselves against anything. They're on the offense more often than not, but I can guarantee you that the amount of money spent on military, if it was even cut in half, which would still leave them as one of the world's major military powerhouses, if they even cut military spending in half, they wouldn't have any social problems. And the ones they did have would be based off of things like mental illness and things that were out of the control of the everyday people. And, we could still have programs for them. Of course, we'd still have problems, but a lot of them would relate more to on an individual level and not epidemic.
And it truly is an epidemic. That's a very good word, Jay. Epidemic. It is. Hunger has become an epidemic, and it's unthinkable that it has.
It's despicable that it has, really.
Yes.
I mean, there was a time, like I said, I do work a job that I do get paid above average, but I've also had my wages frozen for the last 5 years. And the cost of living has gone up. And there was a point in time where I used to hand out $20 bills to motherfuckers on the street and not think twice about, and donate, and do a lot of things that I actually can't do anymore. I can't afford to do anymore. And I wish I could. I feel bad. I feel terrible when I see somebody begging. Actually, I came to a fucking intersection today, and there was a dude, one of those sign flyers, homeless, walks up to every window, whatever. They squeegee in the summer, but it's too goddamn cold right now to squeegee, just freeze to your windshield. But, I looked at him, I started digging for change, and I literally didn't have a penny of change on me. And I was like, fuck, I'm sorry, man. But I at least made sure I made eye contact with the guy and let him know, man, I am honestly sorry. I wish I could help you.
And yet thousands of houses go vacant, and go
ahead.
And twice as many more people who actually need a warm place to stay, besides the whole hunger issue. And
Detroit.
Detroit, South Detroit.
Why can't the federal government buy up a huge section of that? And I know why. It's kind of a rhetorical question, but people that, I'm sure there could be some kind of vetting process to say that this homeless person, they've got an education, they had a job for 15 years at the same employment, and now they lost everything. Why can't we just give them a house? Why can't the government say, instead of buying a nuke, we're going to buy up 20 blocks of Detroit and house, 500 families, homeless families that are willing to contribute?
Yeah, I don't get it either. I truly don't. Our values are so screwed up. Our priorities are screwed up. Everything's just one big mess. And we're gonna have to reach some sort of critical mass to turn things around. We really are. And I don't just mean in the United States. I mean on a global level, because there's just too many things that we've become, used to. We've built up this tolerance to like homeless people, like abuse, and we see it on the news every day, and we know the news is bullshit, obviously, but we see it on the news every day, and we're used to it, and nobody really truly tries to do anything to solve the problem. And it can be very frustrating for people like us actually, who want to see things change.
Yeah, I agree. I hate to say this. I know this is the Anonymous Bites Back. I'm probably going to get some bite back for this one, but I actually feel like violence is the only solution. I know a lot of people would disagree with me, but I hate to say it. I don't even like even fathoming it. But I really feel like until we start to show, the people that have manipulated us and taken control of us, that their actions will yield severe consequences, possibly paying with your life, that it is not okay to exploit us as a population, that it will continue, because otherwise, I mean, they have so much money that they could never lose the amount of money they have. A lot of people say, well, let's hit them in the pocketbook, and I agree with you there.
I'm like, they
But when
have
you
enough money to last them for thousands of years. God knows how much money the elite have.
If you have $80 billion and you lose 10 billion,
it means
you
nothing.
have $70 billion.
Yeah, exactly. As an anon, I preach love, respect, and unity. But as a human being, the reality of it for me is, and I've said this openly on posts on Facebook, the reality of it is, if we're ever truly to change it, and going back to what you said, Jay, it's going to have to be a revolution, and with revolution comes violence, and it's going to be bloody, and that's a reality a lot of people are going to have to face.
I agree totally, and like you, I also preach love, but I think that the love and respect is going to come after the revolution. I think that's something that we need to strive for, but I don't think that the means of achieving that is through holding up signs, which I've protested many times. But through putting heads on stakes.
I agree.
For their counterparts and their cohorts to see in the end, because otherwise, like we were saying, $80 billion. If you have $80 billion fortune and you even lost half of your fortune, you're still worth $40 billion, which is more money than any one person could spend in a lifetime. So what incentive do these people have to make any change? No matter what happens, they're always going to have more money than anyone could ever even fathom of spending.
And I've seen John preach that a lot, about violence and retribution and all these things. And in some ways it's made him very unpopular. But
John Fairhurst?
Yes. But on the same token, I think he sees things a lot clearer than a lot of people. And he sees it's not necessarily that he doesn't necessarily, like the idea of it or agree with the idea of it, but he sees the reality of it. And there's a big difference between those three things.
Well, the fact of the matter is that the utopia is not going to exist until what we have now doesn't. And they're not going to relinquish what exists now peacefully. I can promise that.
No, they're going to fight tooth and nail after we start, peacefully protesting. And then what they're going to do is, if we get too far, they're going to pull out the guns. They're going to pull out the military.
That's already happening. Look at somebody mentioned militarizing of police. That is already happening. They're fighting tooth and nail right now. And they're winning, sadly. They're winning. I hate to say it, but they are winning right now because.
Do you think they would actually? Do you think they would actually go on a full-on combat war with the United States military versus the citizens?
I absolutely think so.
I think they would, but I think eventually that the human aspect of those people fighting against their own people, when their aunt or uncle is murdered, or someone they knew, because eventually it's going to affect everybody. It's going to have to affect them in a human way that they can no longer agree with it.
Absolutely right.
I think that's why I think ultimately through that bloody revolution we will win.
And I see things getting a lot worse. I envision a time when you're going to be walking down the street and a militarized police officer is going to ask you, he's going to say something like, "Papers, please." And
doesn't that already happen down there?
To a certain extent it has happened, but
with the checkpoints.
Absolutely, to a certain extent, but I'm talking about a full scale, in every city and town in the United States, where there's checkpoints of people asking you for papers and proof of citizenship. I mean, you're right, it is happening, but not on a larger scale yet. And I envision that.
Well, that's the thing. They're taking a page out of Hitler's playbook, where you chisel away one right at a time so that people don't even notice. They can't just full on just take everybody, because that will cause the uprising. But if it's like, okay, this year you're going to lose these 3 rights, next year you're going to lose these 2, 5, and then all of a sudden, 30 years later,
You have nothing.
there's a whole lot of rights that people had before that they don't no longer have.
And a lot of people say it started with the Patriot Act and things like Agenda
Oh,
21.
it happened way before then.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been happening for at least 50 years. And it's happened so gradually that people don't tend to notice it because they're so wrapped up in their, in their own, with their own problems, like feeding their families and having a roof over their heads. And
I forget who it was that was there. It was one of the people there when they signed the Constitution. And one of the discussions that they had when they decided to implement this form of democracy was that they wanted to implement democracy, but not full-fledged democracy, because people of lower statute were incapable of making decisions, important decisions, and that they would give an illusion of democracy. I feel like when when the slaves were freed, basically what ended up happening was not that they were like, let's free the slaves. It was more along the lines of, hey, you know what? Why are we only enslaving black people and these people when we could literally enslave everybody?
The world.
And like I was saying earlier, when you work 9 to 5 or 9 to 9, if you work 12 hours a day to put just enough money in your pocket to eat and have a roof over your head and one or two very small luxuries, how are you actually any different than that slave? That slave master put a roof over that slave's head and he put food in his belly so that he could go out and plow that field the next day and pick that cotton.
I totally agree. I started to write a post the other day, but I felt like if I wrote it that I would offend some of my African American friends, and that's not what I intended. It had something to do with the topic of, the military, the police departments are the Uncle Toms of the government. And, if you want to know about slavery and oppression and things like that, talk to an African American who generations ago were enslaved and brutalized. They can tell you firsthand about things like slavery and oppression. And I truly believe that law enforcement and military and all of these corrupt officials are the Uncle Toms of the government.
100%. I think the civil rights movement has taken a huge step backwards over the last few years.
It has.
The whole Black Lives Matter, and I'm not knocking their roots, but I think like the idea got kind of polluted where it started turning white against black, and that is the complete opposite of what the civil rights movement was actually about. Martin Luther King didn't want black people to rule the world. He wanted black people to share in the exact same equality that the white people did, and for anybody and everybody for that matter. To have exactly equal opportunities. But with everything that's gone on in this whole racist cop bullshit, yes, I actually agree that the cops are racist. I think that that's bred into them through some kind of generational bullshit, because most cops, not all, but most, are low IQ individuals with bully complexes that were teased or in other ways, talked down to or beat down when they were younger.
Absolutely, I agree 100%.
Police violence is not only to say that police only shoot black people is a falsity on its own as well. They shoot Mexican people, they shoot white people, they shoot Filipino people, they shoot people all the fucking time, unsubstantiated.
I actually think that sorry, it's going on a tangent. Go ahead.
Well, no, it's just that yes, I think there is a higher percentage because the black population.
Well, actually,
is vulnerable.
when they did the statistics on the people who actually got shot, they said that white people were more statistically, and this was done by the LGBT community. Did a study on the actual statistics that they said that white people were more likely to get shot by a police officer than any other race.
I think the numbers were higher, but I'm not 100%. But I think I saw something about that, and after looking into it, it actually kind of was almost like it was truth, but almost like disguised in a way that yes, a lot more white people had actually been shot. But if you did the comparison of the percentage of population, Per
Yeah,
capita,
yeah.
black
You
people
can
were
always,
still being
yeah,
shot.
the data can always look one way or the other. I gotcha.
Yeah, but I mean that's not to say I think that the reason that black people are being shot at a higher rate is due to is due to you know how do I put this? Almost like the standard of living that is not also not their fault, but it was brought on by generational preconceptions and stuff like that, and the way that they were treated because of racism that fostered these environments that were not necessarily always healthy, ghettos and stuff like that, public housing projects that were populated with black people because they were not given a fair chance, during the 60s, 70s, 80s. And so because of that, those things exist, and still do exist. They are getting, you become a product of your environment quite often. But that's not to say that the police brutality issue is an all race thing.
Yes,
It does happen. It does happen more frequently to them, and it is very unfortunate. And I do believe that some of it is race based. But as a whole, police, like we all know, activists out in the street, you're going to get fucking maced whether you're white, black, or fucking Native American if you're on the front lines protesting something.
Or batoned, or get roughed up.
Or batoned. I mean, the no DAPL protests were a pretty good example of that, because there were lots of white people, black people, and Hispanic people and Native people all protesting together, which was a great show of unity, on a race base that we desperately needed. Like I said, because of I feel like the civil rights movement has actually been set back recently
And
because
the
of the
government does
division.
not like that. They do not like that unity.
No,
they do not.
And that's what I feel like that whole, the whole, like I said, the civil rights movement being moved backwards. I believe that that's basically a psyop of the government, in some way, shape, or form. I don't have any documents to support this. This is just theory of my own, and just being intuitive and seeing what I see. But creating that environment for black people to turn on white people, it almost seems like a psyop of the government to me to create that division.
They want to create that division and that separation. I mean, and it goes back to pre-civil rights movements where there was a fountain for the white people to drink from, a fountain for the brown people to drink from, a fountain for the African Americans.
Oh, there were no brown people back then. So,
but I'm just kind of using that as an example.
Yeah, I'm just joking.
I know what you said. They want to keep that division alive and well, because it creates weakness. It creates divisions. And if all of us, purple, green, red, brown, white, blue, whatever the hell, if all of us stood up all together all at once and said, you know what, we've had enough and we're not going to take it anymore, it's time for a change, we could make
if we're busy if we're busy hating each other, we'll never do that.
No, we won't. Look at the LGBT community right now. They're on the end of a huge amount of oppression everywhere. People are biased towards them. And
I remember being biased towards gay people when I was younger.
Yeah,
I remember being that way.
I used to be the same way too until I think it was like junior high. When I found out that a bunch of my friends were swing that way, and the more I got to know them, it was it was like after a while it was like nothing.
And there's some of I have a lot of friends who are gay and so on, and they're some of the most down to earth people on the planet.
Exactly. So yeah.
And in many ways, they're more respectful. You know what? I'm going to go as far as to say, in a lot of ways, they're more respectful than heterosexuals will ever be.
In some ways, yeah. And they have the right to exist in their own existence. It doesn't have any effect on my life, so why should I give a fuck? You know what I mean? Like, their choices in life are their choices. We were all born with free will. It's the only thing we were born with is free will.
That free will is what the people in power wish to take from us.
Exactly. But these people are fighting back, just like the black people did at one point in time, just like brown people are going through right now with the Islamophobe bullshit. that we've perpetuated. I don't blame some brown people that want to fucking bring death upon America when they watch their son or their niece or their nephew be fucking killed in a drone strike.
Didn't I talk about that? A few shows ago where, it's not the bombing of the foreign countries that creates people that these retaliation. It's the people that survive the bombings. You just killed their fucking family. What the fuck am I gonna do? I'm gonna retaliate.
Fuck yeah, I would.
Me too.
I would.
Same
here. If it was them that came here, just like the whole retaliation for 9/11. Let's just say that wasn't an inside.
I can even get biblical on this. I can be like, violence begets violence. You do something violent, you're gonna get a violent response. That's the only thing the system knows. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
And has it?
Yeah, that's just. It's perpetual.
In the history of mankind, and I hate to say this, has violent conquests and takeovers. Whoa. Hello.
I'm taking a leak.
Oh no! I was watching my other graph bar go off. But no, I was saying that violent conquests and takeovers, they do establish what historically what they want to do, but in long term, does it actually work?
No.
Exactly. There was a guy. I don't even know if I can loop it to that, but I can kind of like
every empire.
Yes,
the people
you know what I'm talking about, Sir Francis Doyle, or whatever. Yeah, the history of empires. Was a very famous guy. Well, not very famous, but he wrote a 21-page essay.
It is very quite famous anyway.
Well, yeah, but I know, but a lot of to the everyday Joe Schmo, the fate of empires isn't a big thing, but what we're seeing here in America is the fall of an empire, and you know what? And I hate to say this, okay, there is nothing you can do to revamp it because it's fucked.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, it depends on your definition of revamp, I suppose. To say that everybody in America is doomed is
no. I'm not saying the people is doomed. I'm saying the system.
The government.
Yeah, they're all doomed. Zombie apocalypse just needs to happen already.
The government can't. The government of America and Canada and Great Britain and Australia and France, they can't sustain at the way that they're working forever. If it doesn't happen in our lifetime, it will happen in the not too distant future after our lifetime. That they cannot sustain.
There's so many different things that we could do to prevent that from happening. And there's not enough people that want to be involved to make those changes. I mean, every little bit counts, though. Like, I'm getting involved in community gardening, getting into solar, renewable energies. These are all different things that need to be promoted a lot more. I mean, and again, it's like awakening a sheep, a lot of people aren't listening.
Ultimately, though, I think those things will be promoted for profit eventually.
Yeah.
Is the fucked up completely. Thing exploited, because as those things gain more popularity and become viable businesses, they will be corrupted by our fiat currency, World Bank, fucking central banking cartel fucking bullshit.
I mean, they already tax water. Why wouldn't they destroy any chance of renewable energy for us?
Speaking of which, one of these days I'm gonna start stream. I'm gonna show that video for the audience. I think it's a good one. America, freedom to fascism. You guys ever seen that?
That's the one you showed me the other day. Yeah.
I haven't seen it. No.
Yeah, it's a
free documentaries.
It's an Aaron Russo film.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a website. I think it's called freedocumentaries.org. And they have all kinds of really, really good documentaries. And I watched that on there fairly recently, actually. It was the first time I saw it. Have you guys ever seen the Four Horsemen video?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Isn't that the one that has to do with psychops in here in America?
Yes, and it relates to the entire economic structure as well. I got my first taste of like kind of that stuff when the very first Zeitgeist movie came out. That's kind of when I started, questioning things a little bit more. I wasn't 100% sure on their factuality, but it started making me question the way that things around us kind of coexist, and over time I've started to see a lot of correlations. That I wish I had the time to write a lot of these things down, but just in my own head, the way that I see the way corporations, like you were saying, like renewable resources and renewable energy,
Yep.
solar power and stuff, those things are all amazing, and we definitely need to start investing in those things. But I promise you that they will find a way to corrupt those things, no
And
matter
I'm
what.
sure, I mean, being in Arizona, we're a state that has the ability of having so much solar energy. And being in the sales, marketing, advertising industry, I've seen so many companies rise and fall. And we're in a huge tech boom here in Arizona. But so much small businesses are being bought out by large corporations and silenced. I mean, the products are good, the ideas that are coming out for solar energy are really good, but even the extra electricity you have with solar energy, they take from you, so it's not like something you could keep for yourself.
See, here the utility will actually buy it back at this point in time. They will actually, if you generate more than you use, they will actually purchase it from you.
Yeah, but at their rate.
At a fraction of what it costs them
Yeah,
to produce energy. I mean, you get
for sure.
ripped off, but at least they don't just take it from you. At least you get some kind of kickback. But I mean, this comes down to like capitalism on a whole. You're talking about the big tech boom that's going on in Arizona. Well, if you look
Yep.
at just society in the United States and the Western world through like the 1950s, 60s, 70s, where everything was hunky dory and you could be a milkman and literally buy a house off a
It's
milkman's
true.
or janitor's salary. That reality doesn't exist anymore. You can't open a mom and pop shop and compete with Walmart. It's not viable anymore.
It's
It's
not.
almost non-existent. And even when you do become successful, most companies end up turning into giant corporations. They end up, going for public IPOs and stuff like that, and going onto the stock market, which then just
Yeah, and businesses, a lot of them, a lot of the good-natured companies that I've got to see and be a part of here in Arizona over the last 6 years, a lot of them, the owners are still, or the people running it are still holding on to it and not letting it go to the stock market, which is really neat because then they're able to give profit sharing back to their employees, and there's a lot more community involvement. Like there's a work culture, kind of like a
but
Google, and
I
there's
hate
lots of them like that.
I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but you will see that trickle away. You
It
will
is. It has.
eventually
It
over
has.
time, as even that like you said, like these people, they want to hold on to their business. Well, there will come a point in time where they're 70 years old or 60 years old and they don't want to do business anymore, and somebody's going to offer them enough money that they're going to be comfortable for the rest of their existence and probably their children's, and they will probably, more likely, most of them, maybe not all of them, but most of them will sell, and they will end up being part of a giant conglomerate that owns 300 different businesses and doesn't give a shit about you or I or their employees for that matter.
See,
So
I'm one of
it
those
is existing
females,
right.
the
Go
rare
ahead.
females that are not materialistic. I'm really not. I would go shop at the Dollar Tree before I would go shop
Oh, I
at
seen where you and James were
Walmart.
having lunch the other day. I
Oh,
saw the
don't
palm
judge
tree.
me. That was me spoiling myself. That's different.
I'm just kidding, but
But
sorry to cut you off, but that's
no
the
problem.
thing. I think everybody should have the right to spoil themselves. The biggest problem for me, a lot of people want to go completely off the grid and move out to the forest and have nothing and be happy with that. That's fine for them. But I think that the biggest problem in society right now is that, people with a certain income have more ability to take a vacation and go somewhere and learn and embrace a culture somewhere else than somebody that can't afford to do that. And those are the things that everybody should have luxury, be able to have luxuries in life. If we have luxuries that exist in this world, everybody should be privy to those same luxuries. You don't have to accept that luxury. You don't have to That doesn't have to be your thing. But if we have those things, why isn't everybody have the equal,
I agree.
Entitlement
It
to
should be like
that?
a buffet for everyone.
Yeah.
Choose what you want.
Yeah. I mean, we have all this technology and everything, but not everybody has access to that technology or to those, freedoms that come with money. People say money's not
I
everything, but
completely agree. It is. Money makes the world go around, and it's sad. I mean, for me, I've been sick for the most part of the last 2 years. I've lost cars, houses, ups, downs, material items, and I think that the last 2 years of my life, it's been extremely humbling for me as an activist to be completely stripped away of all those creature comforts and to have to rebuild a foundation off of humility. And for me, I mean, moving into a roommate situation or moving into a one-bedroom apartment again after living in a four-bedroom house, these are the things that remind us of who we are and lose the ability of being that consumer, you know what I mean? Because I would rather go out and buy a product that's made from a local activist for a Christmas present, or buy something homemade from a farmer's market. I am so against capitalism at this point, because if we keep feeding the monster, where are we going?
Yeah, absolutely. But at the same time, the problem there is that a lot of these goods that you're talking about that you would prefer to buy, because those people had to turn somewhere else to get what they needed to make these products, the costs are higher. Now, all of a sudden, you see movie stars have, it's the people rich and glamorous that have more access to those, counterculture kind of things than we do, because I hate to say it, but I gotta go shop at Walmart all the time. Not because I want to support Walmart, but because it's fucking cheaper at Walmart than it was,
I do too.
At the fucking store down the road that is locally made, and they handcrafted everything. But in order to cover their own costs, they have to charge more. But I can't afford to pay more.
Yeah,
You know.
I will buy. I'm always a good shopper when it comes to stuff like that. I mean, I don't know. I shop at Walmart. I like to shop at Walmart mostly just to people watch, but I mean the prices are really cheap. Out here there's so many different grocery store chains, and they all have different prices, and I mean for me it's usually the most economical. And again, it's because we're all working hard and you're barely getting by. Arizona just passed $10 minimum wage and they're trying to take it from us now.
Absolutely.
$10 an hour isn't even enough to like get by.
No, it's not.
Not even close. Not even
And I went
close.
to the protest. I went to the protest in the march for it to be passed, and to see them now trying to take it away, it's just like a huge slap in the face. There's so many people that finally get, because I mean, $7 an hour, $10 an hour,
Are you
$7
guys
an hour.
ready to? Are you ready to be blown away?
$50
All right,
an
so
hour.
your guys minimum wage is $10 an hour. Where I live, it's 12, which that sounds better. Do you know what the average cost of a house in the city I live in is?
A lot.
Just take a stab.
The price or rent?
The price to buy a house is $500,000 on average.
I was going to say 500,000.
Yeah, because I'm from Southern California and it was the same way. I mean, Arizona has houses for 100,000, but I mean, you're going to get a little bit of a fixer up, or you get a little bit of land for it. But then again, you also have the red state completely. It's just bad. It's just Arizona. I mean, you have to be willing to take that sacrifice to live in the desert.
I live in a huge oil city. Do you guys know about the oil sands?
No.
They're all over the news all the time. It's like Leonardo DiCaprio's here all the fucking time protesting against it and shit. Anyway, I live where the oil sands is. The Keystone XL pipeline. You guys
I know
heard of
that. Oh,
okay,
yes.
well, where I live is where they're gonna pump that from. This is the ground. This is fucking ground zero of the fucking Keystone XL. That's where I live. It is built off of oil. It is next to Houston and Dallas, probably it's 1.5 million people, and it's entirely based off of fucking oil. And right now we've been going through a recession, and my rent has dropped in the last 3 years from $1,500 a month to $1,100. but I could guarantee it's not going to stay like that once the price of oil goes back up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
Yeah, for sure.
I promise you, when things start turning around here economically, my wages will not increase. Like I said, I haven't had a raise at work in 5 years.
Jeez.
5 years, and I still make way above what the average person does here. But still, it's like, it's not that they're catching up to me; it's that I'm degrading down closer to them. You know what I mean? Like it's not that it's getting easier for them; it's that it's getting harder for me, which I was at the upper end of middle class. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now I'm more just at the middle class, I guess you could say.
I'm in poverty class. I've never been above that.
Well, and I feel I have nothing but sympathy for those people. Like I was saying, I don't understand. I feel terrible for anybody that is trying to get by like that. But the one of the biggest problems, and I hate to say it to anybody that's at the lower end, but the middle class disappearing is one of our biggest issues. Because if you eliminate the middle class, then all you have is lower and upper. Yeah.
Yep.
And that's when you're going to have more problems, when there's no middle class at all, or when it starts shrinking.
See, in the poverty level here, like what you have is California. California has gotten so expensive. One, because it's coastal. Two, because of so many corporations buying out rich property, all the other stuff that's going on through California. Most people can't afford to live in California no more, so they're moving towards Arizona. So many people in Arizona are transplants from California. It's ridiculous. Every other person you meet, literally.
It's not even that far. Every time I drive to California, I go through Arizona. I drive from Canada down there all the time.
Yeah,
or I used to when I could afford it.
I'm going back home somehow.
I used to drive down there when I could afford to. I haven't been there in 4 years, but
I don't know.
I want to go to Cancun this summer.
A lot of people say that California is really expensive, and I've been all over California. If you stay out of the OC LA area, you generally can find cheaper places. So
I was going to buy a house. I was going to buy a house in Palm Springs, actually, because I was down there, and this is when the price of a house here was around $400,000, and I found a mansion built into the side of the mountain with a huge pool built into this deck that came off the side of the mountain and overlooked the valley down below, down into Palm Springs. And it was like $220,000. And I was like, fuck yeah. I was like, I'll just work half the year in Canada at my job and just spend the rest of the half of the year down there. I said it'd be pretty much the same fucking thing. And it was so much cheaper. You guys don't understand. I went down there. I couldn't believe how cheap shit was in America compared to Canada. You know what we pay? You know what we pay for a gallon of gas? Like $5.
Yeah, no, it's right now $1.94.
Not where I live.
Yes.
What the hell? Where the hell? What country? What country you live in, Rose?
I live in Arizona. It's a patriot Republican state. I mean, of course, it's cheap. You know, they don't.
Just playing.
I'm like right outside of a military base. You know, like of course it's cheap. Yeah, no. I mean, as you go further into the city, away from the military base, the gas prices actually go up. It's weird.
Actually, I noticed that too when I drive down there. All the places with like Air Force bases nearby, on my drive down, the gas was always cheaper for some reason.
No, it's probably because of oil. The oils, they probably sell the same gas to the military that they do to the surrounding places.
But this is what pisses me off. Being where I'm from, we actually in the province I live in. We have the second largest, or Canada as a whole, has the second or third largest oil reserve in the world. America buys more oil from Canada than from anywhere else. We ship it down to the United States as crude oil. It's refined down there into gasoline, and then they sell it back to us. And we pay fucking $5 a gallon for it.
What do you think about the currency exchange right now, Jay? I know a lot of my friends who come in.
I got to run again, guys. Talk to you later.
Have a good night, Ron. A lot of my friends who come down here from Winnipeg for the summer aren't coming this year because of for every dollar they spend, they have to spend an extra 33 cents because of the currency exchange.
Yeah, no, it's fucked up. But my mother-in-law just sent us money, send us $500 American. So I'm pretty stoked that that's going to turn into $700.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, that's a big reason on why a lot of us Canadians aren't going south, There was actually a point a couple of years ago where our money was worth more than American.
Yes.
Canadian dollar is worth $1.10 or $1.10 American, or no, one American dollar is worth $1.10, whatever, something like that. Basically, so for every dollar we get 10 cents extra. Like if we went down there, my $100 would be $110 American, and everything was way cheaper. So I fucking right. I was all about going down there to spend some money, but that's what I was saying earlier about Canada being a huge oil. One of the biggest reasons our dollar is so low is the price of oil is low right now. So that means the Canadian dollar sucks. Um, I think it's good and bad. I think locally for me, it's made things more affordable. Inflation has decreased. But all of those things, the roots lie in those things in fiat currency and perpetual debt created off of money through centralized banking that is new money created off of guarantees to be paid back on interest on loans from money that doesn't exist.
Exactly.
But,
say that
but
money that does not exist. Exactly.
yeah, but it's with our dollar being low and our economy not being as good as it had been in the last 10 years, where we were far surpassing America on an economic level like that. But inflation has gone. So some things, if I want to buy American products, it has affected me in a negative way. But thankfully, well, not thankfully, but America, just like Canada, has become a consumer nation. We don't manufacture fuck all anymore. We don't actually make anything. So my worries about buying American products are pretty slim because you guys don't actually make anything anymore. Neither do we. But
Tijuana label on it.
Yeah, exactly. So if when I do want to spend money on something that comes from America, it is a downturn. But like I said, my rent was $1,500 3 years ago on a 2-bedroom condo. Now I live in the exact same place and I pay $1,100 a month now. So I save $300 a month or $400 a month in rent, which is $4,800 a year that I save. So it has its ups and its downs because our economy is based off of oil, with oil not doing well. For me, I don't work in the oil industry, so it's beneficial.
Yeah.
But if you worked in the oil industry, which I had a lot of friends who do or did, most of them lost everything. So it was probably not very beneficial for them whatsoever.
Yeah, it's pretty bad now.
Yeah, it's just a whole, it's an endless cycle. You know what I mean? We will see things improve, and then we'll see them crash and improve and crash, and get stuck in an infinite loop and just become apathetic to it. Is basically the way that it works. I think for the general public anyway. I try not to be that myself, but I think a general apathetic approach to everything and just saying, "Man, it's bad today. It'll be good tomorrow." If you didn't lose your house, you didn't lose everything you own. Well, things will turn around eventually. Things will get better, and they will for a little while, and then they'll get bad again. And
it's a vicious little circle, isn't it?
It is, but every time they get bad, they get a little bit worse than they were the last time it got bad.
I've noticed that, unfortunately.
But yeah, it is what it is at this point in time. I guess it's up to us that are actually putting up some kind of fights and trying to mount some kind of resistance. It's up to us to continue doing so, and not get too discouraged about it. Like I said, I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but sometimes I just got to be a realist about things.
And unfortunately, you're very accurate, in what you've said, because the only way to get anywhere is to fight for it, and it looks like it's headed that direction. So,
yeah, well, we got to keep on fighting. I think one of the biggest reasons.
Hello.
Technical error. Let's see. Uh-oh. Hello? Oh, his phone must have died.
I would say so. You're not even showing up.
I can see you.
I can see me too, but I don't see you.
Oh, that was weird.
Facebook censorship, or I'm sorry, censorship from Google.
Where's his icon? I don't even see it. Oh, that's so weird. Sorry, what were you guys talking about? Sorry, I was dealing with this somebody's. I don't even know what kind of mind frame they're in. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. That's odd. That is very odd.
Well, we got 13 minutes till they cut us off, so. What were you guys talking about?
Well, we were talking about God, what the hell were we talking about? The currency exchange between Canada and the United States, and it's weird.
Don't you have to pay a fee once you transfer the currency from one to another?
Yeah, everything that you purchase, I believe, if you come from Canada, you have to pay a fee for everything that you purchase. And one of my friends was telling me it's about 33 cents right now.
You have to pay tariffs. You have to pay tariffs on it. Yeah.
Gotcha. So, guys, we got like about 12 minutes left.
Well, it's been a slice, guys. We had some pretty good conversation on here tonight. I think we touched on a lot of relevant shit. So I was more than happy to make everybody's acquaintance here. Although me and Mark here we've made our acquaintance in the past, and I added you. Oh, I see you accepted my friend request. Are you Tyler? Are you Tyler Durden on Facebook?
Nah, I'll send you a link in the chat to my real profile.
All right, sounds good, man. Because I do remember a guy going by the name Tyler Durden.
That was me.
Same here.
That was you. All right.
Yeah,
I do remember that.
I had that account killed like twice, and then after somebody tried doing the SS7 hack on my profile. I know, because it was I was just like, dude, everybody wants to get in this profile. Fuck this. After it got disabled, I was just like, yeah, I'm not gonna be Tyler Durden anymore.
Well, yeah, you got to do what you got to do, right? But I actually do remember seeing you around, probably over the last year or two, anyhow, here and there. When I saw the name Tyler and I saw the picture, I was like, I wonder if that's the same guy.
Yeah, I've still got a Tyler Durden on my friends list.
Yeah, there was a guy. He's had his account like forever, but I think I had the one that was just like this one, but it was in color. That was me.
Yeah, I think that was you. Yeah, probably, but. Yeah, it's definitely been good. Like I said, I'm usually a regular on Daniel's show. Those guys are pretty good guys over there, regardless what some people might think about them.
Me and Daniel are pretty decent friends. I like to troll him occasionally just when I'm bored, and he takes it lightheartedly, like as he should, because it's not meant to be mean. It's meant to have fun with him, not at his expense, and he understands that.
And Daniel's been around for a very long time.
Yes, he has.
He's in the know. He's been involved in a lot of things, whether people give him credit. I don't think he searches for any credit from anybody, but, we have some pretty good topics over there. There have been some, less than savory conversations, I'm sure. But once again, we're anti-censorship as anons, or even if you're not a non. I know even even those guys at the Hate Factory, I know how much they are hated. But in a lot of ways, whether people like to admit it or not, those guys embody what Anonymous started out as.
Absolutely, I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, they were Anonymous was once referred to as the internet hate machine. So, you know, the Hate Factory, I'm not sure if that's where they got their moniker from, but I wouldn't doubt it. And Sammy Warren himself, I've had some pretty good conversations with. He's actually an intelligent individual. Jeff Kenyon, the guy is a lot different. We live in the same city. I know him personally. I know him in real life. He's a lot different to talk to on the level when you know the guy than he is on the internet. These guys just like to troll. People get their feelings hurt too much sometimes. I think it is the internet.
You know, and me and Sammy were friends for quite a long time. I don't know what happened. I just kind of separated myself from, you know, the Hate Factory because of some personal issues. I kind of think Sammy took it the wrong way. So maybe that'll all wrinkle itself out later on down the road, I'm sure.
Well, I wasn't too fond of the Hate Factory, and that was based on Kev Duchno.
Yeah.
Because I don't much care for that guy, but, you know, I'll just leave it at that. But I know he was part of them, so I just didn't associate with any of them based on the fact that he was involved with them, and so I just avoided them. But, you know, after having actual conversations with a lot of those guys, I've come to respect some of them. I might not agree with what they do all the time, but I don't get butthurt over it either. So, and to any new fags out there listening, if you are going to get upset about, it's really not worth your time. I promise you, you have more important things to worry about than a bunch of trolls. These guys thrive on people that get butthurt. So if you don't want to get fucking trolled to shit, just don't listen to them. Don't pay attention to them.
It all boils down to either we're going to have censorship or we're not going to have censorship. Me personally, there will be no censorship, and I will not censor anyone, you know, and nobody censors me, and we're all good.
Mm-hmm. Yep. 100%. 100%. I mean, I might not agree with what people say. In fact, quite often I downright despise what people have to say. But you know, Mark, do you remember Jazz Ned Kelly, Immortal?
Yes.
He made a post, this was years back, but he pissed off a whole lot of people. And he said, I do not support white supremacists. He's like, I do not support racism. He's like, but as a proponent of free speech, he's like, I do support their right to say whatever the fuck they want. He's like, and people fucking laid into him over that.
He lost a lot of friends over it.
Yeah, he did. But he was right in some kind of way, you know. I mean, I hate racist people, but I still feel that, you know, I think that those types of things are more, you know, miseducation. They're not informed. They're not educated.
You know, and I will go as far as this. I despise racism. I despise bigotry. But I'll tell you what, I love the memes. Whether it's about a white guy with a crack pipe or a black guy with whatever, I love the memes. You know, they crack me up because I don't take it for that. I see it for what it is. Because if all of us, regardless of color, gender, creed, denomination, religion, whatever, if we can't look inwards and laugh at ourselves as a person or as a species, as a whole, whatever, then we're lost.
Yeah.
Exactly. And as a species, we're flawed. We're not perfect. We're certainly not perfect, and we never will be, I don't think. I highly doubt that, unless we achieve some kind of energy force that is beyond our physical being. I don't think we'll be ever perfect, and you know those things are going to exist. Like you said, I can't condone hatred towards anybody for anything, but like I said earlier, we're all born with free will, and if that's your free will, then so be it. I will try to educate you otherwise. I might even call you an idiot and a piece of shit for saying so, for thinking so, but that's my freedom of speech to say so. That's my not being censored to tell you you're a fucking jackass. But, you know.
Definitely.
You know, so, but it is what it is, and that is their rights, you know, as a human being to have those perceptions, and it's up to the rest of people, if you don't agree with it, to try and prove them wrong and give them a reason to feel otherwise.
I hear you.
All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna peace the fuck out of here. It sounds like there's not much time anyway. So
No, there's not. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, definitely. I will be back.
And congratulations again.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it, man. My wife's the best ever. Tara Smith. I don't know if you guys know her, but she's a fucking genius. That's my wife, and man, she keeps me going.
It sounds familiar. The name sounds familiar. She's anonymous, right?
Yeah, she not so much anymore. Well, you won't find too much on, but yeah, that's where we met. So that is how we met. She's a research geek, to put it lightly. She spends a lot of time educating herself and sharing that information with a lot of people.
Good for her. I mean, that's very important to seek knowledge wherever one can.
Exactly. Yep. And she is definitely knowledgeable, more so than I am quite often. I turn to her sometimes when I'm on air, whether it be here or on Daniel's show, and I'm like, am I right? I'll be, am I telling a lie or am I right? So, all right, guys, I'll talk to you guys soon. I'll be sure to be back. I know Angelina had asked me a couple times to come on. I've been pretty busy with a bunch of stuff. I've been focusing a lot of my energy on tech stuff, but I will be back, and I enjoyed talking to you guys.
Okay.
Same here. You have a good night.
You guys too. All right, take her easy.
Okay.
You too.
Bye.
All right, so I'm gonna roll out. I'm gonna exit this call, and I'm gonna do out with the exit scenes and stuff.
Exit.
All right,
Excellent.
cool. All right.
You have a good night.
Good night.